Hey guys, welcome back.
Hey guys, brand new podcast.
Hey, wait a minute. It's my podcast.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Enjoy. I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah, so am I.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I listened to our episode about dads this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, I did because I've done so many. I mean, that was like number 16 and I'm on number 40 now.
That's amazing.
Which is crazy. So I remembered the gist of it, but I didn't remember the specifics because that was a long time ago. That was in the summer.
I wish I would have listened to it because I haven't listened to it since right after we did it.
Did you listen to it right after?
I listened to it right after because I wanted my sister to listen to it before he was allowed to listen to it.
Oh.
Yeah, they hid it from me.
They hid it?
They hid it from me. Well, they just wanted me. They wanted me to wait for a while because they weren't sure my reaction.
Right.
And then I surprised the hell out of them. So
I'm not surprised at that.
I mean, it's like.
I'm not surprised that you surprised them.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that they wanted to, because I was really hesitant with my dad too, and I'm not talking anything bad, not that she was talking bad, but my dad's and my issues are pretty minor. They're not anything big, but I don't think my dad likes to be, nobody likes to be said, well, this is where your shortcomings were.
Right.
Publicly. So I was really kind of self-conscious or not self-conscious, but aware of how I say stuff about my dad because my dad's great. I would never want to hurt his feelings. Even my mom to an extent. I don't want to be disrespectful to her, but the things that happen with her should be talked about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So that other people can go, oh, my mom did that shit too. I get it.
Yeah, a friend of mine that was with me last night, she asked me today, she goes, is this live? Because she grew up with, her mom and dad were alcoholics and drug addicts.
Right.
And she's got a limited relationship with them.
Right.
On her terms.
Right.
So, she wanted to listen to it. I said, no, it's not live. I
It'll
wasn't
be
sure.
a few weeks from
Yeah, that's
now.
what I told her. I said, I'll let you know when the date's out.
Yeah.
You can watch it.
So cool.
Yeah. No, I've actually had a couple of my club brothers watch it.
You have?
Yeah. Because I said, if you want to know how I really was back in the day, she pretty much hit it on the nose.
Did she?
Oh, yeah. So, I own my shit. I own this whole thing. So that's why I think we've moved on is because I've owned it.
You are right.
I
mean, and in order to be really successful as a sober person, you have to own everything, right?
Yeah. You have to want to go that way.
Right.
You have to want to be sober. And it took me a long time to get that way.
How long did it take? Well, wait, before we get too far, if anybody hasn't listened, Sam and Lynn and I did 2 episodes back to back. Number 15 was about our moms because we have similar moms, and number 16 was about our dads because present day we have really similar dads. Childhood days, mine and Lynn's dads were very different than Lance, than you. So Lance and Sam listened to Sam's number 16 episode, and then they started talking about Sam's childhood, which is really cool. And then I don't know how it came to be that you guys came. Did I ask you, or did you?
No, I think I came and said, maybe you want to do like what it's like growing up with a drug addict. I don't know. Something like along those lines. I can't remember.
So anyway, we got to this place where Lance is here with Sam. And we're just going to talk about whatever comes up, right?
Me.
So let's go back now. I didn't mean to interrupt you, just in case
that's
people just found my podcast recently and hadn't listened to that past one, because that happens.
Right.
Where they find you on episode 20 and they go, wait, I got to go back and listen to the one you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. So that's what we're talking about. This is like kind of part 2, sort of, maybe, but maybe not.
If you haven't listened to it, go listen to it.
Go listen to it, right?
Then it'll fill in
a lot of
what
gaps.
we're talking about now, and that you're trying to figure out how we got to this point.
Yeah, because I don't want to repeat what we said there. That's not necessary. I mean, we can, but it's
well,
not
no,
necessary.
Anything you want. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll answer it. I don't hide anything.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm game.
How long were you an addict?
25 years or so.
What were you addicted to?
Methamphetamine.
Meth was around that long ago?
Oh, yeah. It's been around since I first started when I was 18. I tried it, and I didn't really like it. I was too busy doing other stuff in my life and whatever. And then I got back into it at about 26, I think. Right around, I don't remember. It was that long ago.
Right.
And I moved to the desert to get away from the meth in Monrovia, where I grew up.
Right.
Yeah, that was jumping right out of the frying pan, right into the fire.
I was gonna say, I bet you went right straight into
right
the
there.
den of meth.
No, I did okay for the first couple of years because
Yeah.
I was racing dirt bikes and we were all playing in the desert because, you know, we had a lot of money at that particular time. I had some inheritance or whatever.
Right.
And we were all a happy family, for say.
Right.
Then the drugs got involved and that's when shit went downhill.
Well, so why did the drugs get involved? Was it just partying or?
One thing led to another. I liked it, which was my biggest. It's like alcohol. If you like I like Jack Daniels specifically.
Yeah.
I've drank vodka. I've drank everything else, and
Right.
I've been sick on it. And I said, yeah, that's not it. But Jack was my favorite drink.
Right.
So if meth is kind of like that. If you like it, then you're going to do it. It makes you think in your mind that you're invincible. That you can do anything.
Yeah.
And you're up for days on end.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, the reality is your mind is telling you one thing, your body's telling you another, and you're not getting nothing done.
Right.
And then you have, well, I don't know if you want to get into that yet, but you have mood swings that are just insane.
Really?
Yeah. When
And
you're
are the mood swings because of a shift in your high?
Yeah, it's because I'm coming down.
Right.
So then I want to sleep because you're
Right.
up for days.
Right.
And I've never gone more than, I think 3 days is the most I've ever gone. And it's like, I know better as far as that. And I used to eat
Wait a
every
minute.
day.
3 days were the most you ever gone, what? Awake?
Awake. Yes.
That's not very healthy.
I've known people that have done 7 days.
That's not very healthy either.
No, that when you start looking at them and saying, dude, you need to go to sleep because your head is not attached to your body.
Right.
You know.
What happens when you're awake that long? Do you start having
Hallucinating.
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
seeing tree people.
Tree people?
Tree people. That palm tree has a face on it. That
No.
kind of stuff. Oh, yeah.
Is that why you think they made the novelty tree people that you can put on?
Could
and
be.
go,
I don't-
"Hey,
I
maybe
don't
I'm
know."
high. Maybe I'm not. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, there was one time when we were all sitting here and we lived on top of this hill in Victorville.
Yeah.
And you could see all the way across into the rocks, which were about 5 miles away. And it's just a big pile of rocks.
Yeah.
Well, if you there's a tree branch like this. If you sat binoculars and you look through the tree branch, right straight ahead, you could have swear there's a sheriff's car watching you.
What?
Yes, we seen it. All of us sat there and looked at it, right? So me and my buddy got in the car, went over there, crawled all the rocks, didn't find shit. Went back to the house.
Why
2
were you
hours
looking
later,
for the sheriff if you're
because,
high?
well, they
That's
were
like
looking for
poor
us.
judgment.
At that particular part, they were looking for us. So they were watching us.
But then why would you then go, let's go see if he's
Yeah, let's go. Just
That's
because.
a whole new level of delusion, I
That's
think.
because we're not. Let's go fuck with them because
you're
know,
10 foot tall and
yeah,
bulletproof.
we can do anything we want. There's nothing they
Right.
can do to us. So let's bring it to them. So we
Right.
go over there. We spent 3 hours climbing through the rocks in a truck, and then we can't find it. So we get up, we go back to the house, we go right straight back to the tree, and sure as shit, it's there.
No way.
You know, what it turned out to be was some kind of gold paint on white
Shut
rocks.
up. Oh, my God.
We didn't find that out for days later. Yeah.
Were you sober-ish when you found that out?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yeah, we were riding dirt bikes at that point, and I told my buddy, let's go ride over there and see if we can dig up.
And there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, how did you feel when you found it? Like, oh, I'm
Oh, no,
such a
normal. You know,
dumbass.
we were just idiots that were high. It was
How
good.
funny.
Because we did. I mean, as much as I want to say, I don't want to say that meth was a good thing. I had a lot of fun.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there were, you know, because we used to ride dirt bikes for, hours on end and you know, build cars and do stuff like that.
Right.
And
because when you're tweaking, you get really meticulous,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, big time. And it's like, I'd wake them up in the middle of the night. Come on, we're going snake hunting. Put them all in my Bronco with all the lights. Lance will remember this more than anybody because Lance is always bringing this up. And we'll grab our guns, and which wasn't unusual.
And super healthy
we'd
on meth.
we would take out. Well, one of them, get this, was a sheriff who used to go with us. He wasn't high.
But did he know that you were high?
I think in the back of his mind he did.
He was a deputy?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think he was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he lived down the street, and
Yeah.
we became good friends. And he used to come and get me when I've been up for a couple of days.
Uh-huh.
He would come and get me and say, "You're going for a ride along, so go take a shower." And next thing you know, I'm in the car with him all night long. You
So
know,
that
it was
you
his way.
say, yeah.
His way of, I think, in his mind, it was his way of going, okay, we're going to put this kid to sleep. So
Yeah.
let's take him out on a ride along. And then by 4 a.m, I'm done. So he takes me home and I go to sleep.
Right.
So
You still in contact with him?
no, he fell off the wagon himself, and he had some other family issues.
Oh, that's too bad.
It really was.
That's
You
too
remember
bad.
Steve DeFalco up the street?
Yeah.
We used to go fishing with him and stuff. Nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
But he was a San Bernardino County sheriff, and he was the nicest guy in the world. But that sheriff switch come on, and watch out, because he was a sergeant, and he was, but he kept a good eye on me.
That was nice.
Yeah, I had a lot of different variety of friends.
Yeah.
What
do you mean?
Well, I had, different kinds of friends. I had friends for riding dirt bikes, friends for going out racing cars, and then I had your basic drug people that or whatever.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
And where was the motorcycle people in that? Because how long have you been in a motorcycle gang? Is it a gang? I don't want to use the wrong
motorcycle
term.
Club.
Okay,
I've been around clubs ever since I was 15 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was part of that too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that was a big part of it when I got up to Purdue. Yeah, that was a big part of it.
So my impression of a motorcycle club is like a family. Is it like a family?
It is.
It's like for super duper white people like me. It's like a fraternity.
It's a family of brothers.
Yeah.
And in my case, in the club that I now am president of and whatever, like last night, we all went out for family dinner, and the most of them took their wives or girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah.
We went for a ride, went down to Santa Monica,
right.
Venice to Johnny's Pastrami, ate, and then came back. We have pictures of it.
That's awesome.
It's just one. I try to make it a family thing.
Yeah.
I have drinking rules. You're only allowed to have 2 drinks maximum, or then I'll put your ass on a tow truck and send you home.
Right.
No drugs whatsoever, not even weed.
Right.
Which I know is legal, but if you want to smoke that, you smoke that at home.
Right.
And I just have rules.
Now is that the way it was when you were in your addiction?
Oh, hell no.
I didn't think so. Were you in the same club then?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
So, is the club you were in then still in existence?
Oh, yeah.
And are they still in the same behavior?
Don't know.
Don't know.
I've been out and been out of touch with everybody in that particular lifestyle for a long time now.
Right.
As of April 7th this year, I will have been 10 years clean.
That's amazing.
Now,
how are you celebrating that? Because you should celebrate. 10 years is a decade.
Her. She's in charge of that kind of shit.
10 years is a long time.
10 years is impressive.
Yeah. And it took me a long time to get there because I've fallen off the wagon numerous times before that 10 years started.
So what happens when you fall off the wagon? Like, what happens in your head or in your heart or wherever you're falling from?
Excuse me.
What happens?
Usually it's something stupid.
Yeah.
It could be depression. Last time I fell off the wagon, my adopted mom had just passed. And I used that as a great excuse to go get a dose. And all it did was make me stay up for a day and a half and cry. So it was
karmically,
that was a good high, right? I didn't even do nothing. I was watching Jerry Springer crying. I was like eating Cocoa Pebbles. That
would make me cry too to watch Jerry Springer for a day and a half.
It was a good excuse to screw up. I thought it would be fun, and no, and that was the last time that I actually did meth. How I got off of it, I started smoking weed. I know people say that's a gateway.
Yeah.
They're full of shit.
Right.
I use that.
Full of shit
I use that as an excuse. Every time I wanted to get high, I would smoke a bowl.
Right.
Okay, well, keep that in mind. Addiction's addiction, no matter how you look at it. I just switched it to weed.
Right.
So I would get up in the morning. Instead of going to the bathroom, I'd smoke a bowl. Go to the bathroom, smoke another bowl. Go in the house, get a Jeffro-sized bowl of Cocoa Pebbles.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, I'm a diabetic.
Oh, God.
I would go out back to my little room, and I'd smoke bowls and watch Jerry Springer or Murray or whatever
You and
else.
Jerry Springer, man.
That was it.
Maybe Jerry Springer's the root of your addiction.
I don't know. I used to watch Maury all the time. Then he got yeah. Anyway.
Is Maury even still on?
Yes, he is. But it's all baby mama, DNA.
The reveal of the baby mama.
Yeah,
Springer is.
Jerry Springer's just all, whose girlfriend screwing whose friend and all that kind of stuff. But
different kind of same.
Yeah, the only thing is they don't have DNA tests, and they're not saying you're the father. So,
yeah. And then, oh my God.
Yeah,
crazy. Isn't
I could
it,
never
that
handle
show?
that crap because the fake fighting they do, I'd end up swinging and hurting somebody.
Yeah, right.
It's like, I'm going to really fake punching this guy. No, it's not going to happen. If we're going to do this, let's make it,
real.
UFC and have some blood flying.
For real.
Yeah, they can't do that. But
so then how did you, so you're smoking a bowl all the time now.
And then I finally, I was going through a bunch of the mental health department in whatever, LA, whatever.
LA County?
Well, Canoga Park. I don't know. I guess that's LA County.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
they're
that's
no
LA
longer
County.
there anymore. For some reason, they moved somewhere else or did whatever. But anyway, I was going through that. I would go to a counselor once a month, and they kept giving me 300 milligrams of this, 300 milligrams of that for depression and all this other crap. It was non-narcotic, but it was like Zoloft and you know other particular drugs. And after about 6 months of doing that, I go back, and she goes, "I've given you everything you can. What the hell is going to get you to be undepressed?" And I said, "Give me my driver's license back so I can get a friggin' job, because I can't get a job without a driver's license."
Really? So why
I,
did they have your driver's license?
Because of a child support issue from when they were in diapers. I didn't even know when her mom and I split up once out of about 50 times. She decided to take the kids. Well, I don't want to talk bad about Debbie because she's not here to defend her.
Totally.
But you know, she knew how to get me to where we'd get back together and everything was fine, and then shit would get back to reality and it would go away.
Yeah.
Well, she had taken the kids and she was living with her mom or grandma for a while. And I guess she had gotten custody, or not gotten custody because I had custody, but gotten something to do with welfare. And I didn't know anything about this.
Right.
So, 30 years later, I'm getting nailed for child.
Later. 30?
Literally.
Yeah.
But why would she do that?
Well, back in the day, grandma and everybody hated me so much. It's just, let's screw him. Because when we went to court, and I mean, it was pretty much cut and dry. We get there, the whole family wrote, Marianne, I guess her grandmother wrote a 7-page deposition of how violent I was. Well, yes, I was violent. I was a bodyguard. I was also a bounty hunter. In my work.
Wait. You were a bounty hunter?
Yeah, when I was a kid. This is before the drugs. When I was a kid.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah, when I was a kid. Well, when I was a kid,
I'm learning some new things here myself.
Are you?
I was a jack of all trades and a master of few. And one of them that I was really good at was hunting people. But it wasn't, back in them days, it was just for fun. I mean, I got paid for it, but it was just something that, haha, cool, exciting.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, let's
For
go out
you,
and
it
beat
was
somebody
like
up.
a hobby in which you got paid, as opposed to a career path.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it for a living.
Right.
But at that time I had money again because I had inheritances from.
How did you inherit money?
I inherited my grandmother on my adopted side. We used to own.
Wait, you were adopted?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We're gonna
How
open the
long
door.
are you going to be here?
We're going to be here for days. You open the door. No, I was adopted when I was 3 days old. And by the way, I do know my real parents.
Okay.
And there's nothing. Well, one of them just died. But anyway, we'll get to that. My grandmother from my adopted side, my grandparents owned from what I understand, owned a dairy in Omani.
Oh, okay.
Well, when my grandfather died, which I never knew him.
Yeah.
And then my grandmother, I knew her when I guess I was 8 or 9 years old. I was over at her house in Pasadena, and I was with one of my good friends I grew up with that lived next to my nanny, and which was my adopted grandma. And we were there spending the night, and the next morning she usually makes us food. And you keep in mind, I'm like 8 or 9 years old. She wasn't waking up.
Oh.
So we went in her room to wake her up. She wasn't waking up.
Oh, no.
Well, this is before they had 911 or any of that shit. So we got on our bicycles, rode 4.5 miles to tell somebody that there's something wrong and grandma had passed that night. So anyway, I didn't know anything about inheritances. I didn't know anything about that. My dad had passed when I was 6.
Was that your great grandma?
No, that would be my dad's mom.
Oh, okay. Because
My
your
dad,
mom's
Glenn.
mom was still. I remember your mom's mom.
Yeah, nanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Adopted moms.
Yeah.
the one that raised me.
Yeah.
I always even since the day that I found out I was adopted, I never called my real parents. I mean, I talked to them, called them mom and dad, but they didn't raise me.
Right.
I met them when I was 21.
Right.
And so I went from 21 on, not 21 before.
Right.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get back to the inheritance. When I turned 18, I was told by my mom that I have a bank account and I had to go talk to somebody, and I went to talk to this guy and there was $150,000+ in there.
Wow.
One of three.
One of three.
Yeah, I had one when I was 18, 21, and 24.
Wow.
So I knew nothing about this, and when I found out about the deal,
Yeah.
I was looking at buying a truck, and the truck was going to cost me $12,000 or something like that. A
Right.
big, huge 4-wheel-drive truck, and,
Right.
And I went to the bank to talk to this guy, and he goes, "No, I'm going to give you $9,900 and change." And I go, "Okay, I thought I had this much money." He goes, "You do, but the IRS wants it." So you have to take under 10 grand increments.
I see.
That's where I learned that little trick.
Right,
Don't know
right.
if it's legal or not. Kind of doubt it, but who cares? So,
No, it is. They penalize you for taking out too much money
Right.
at one time, right?
So I took little bits and spurts.
Right,
I could
right.
take out so much every month or whatever.
Right.
So here I am at 18 years old.
With $9 grand, you have her?
We're in the process of having her.
Oh, you had her when you were 18?
19. 18.
Wow.
Yeah, 18.
Did you turn
I
19 when I was a baby?
Yeah. I had her on Father's Day,
Wow.
no less. Literally on Father's Day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because she was a pretty good gift.
Yes, she was.
I think
Yep.
so. I think she was a good gift.
Yes,
Based on
that I
what
will
she
give
said
you.
in the podcast, I think she carried a lot of load.
Yes, she did.
She did.
More than I should have ever even dreamed of putting on her, and I apologize for that.
I know you do.
It's
Well, you know what? You're a really good person, Lance. Like
thank you.
a really good, stellar human being. And the stuff that happened when you were little, you can't change it. So if you hold on to it and makes you, and I don't think you are, if it makes you feel bad, it affects your relationship negatively with your kids. If you have too much guilt or shame or whatever, if you just forgive yourself.
I don't have
You know.
a lot of regret other than the fact that, because doing the drugs and being a part of that lifestyle and doing all that shit has made me who I am today.
Right.
To be able to deal with people like this.
Yeah, it makes
and deal
sense.
with public and stuff like that. Because when I was a kid, going back to that, when I was a kid, I was 18. I fought through elementary school, through junior high and high school because I liked to fight.
You mean like fist fight?
Fist fight. I mean, I love to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this, how it started was in elementary school. I had this little kid, Barry Piasco, who had cerebral palsy. So his hands and his feet
Yeah,
were
yeah.
all narrowed up.
Yeah.
Well, the kids at school would tease him. So I'd start beating him up. And that went into junior high. You tease him, you get beat up. And then it went into high school, which in turn I ended up getting kicked out of high school because of it or whatever. So
And then you
I've
became a
always been into
bodyguard,
that.
and
Yeah,
then you
so
became a bounty hunter.
I've been,
This is all making sense.
yeah,
All makes
I've been
sense.
bouncers at different bars all over Pasadena, Monrovia, Arcadia. I've worked for several different rock bands over the years.
So did you grow up in Pasadena?
I grew up in Monrovia.
In Monrovia, okay.
Yeah, I did time in Santa Monica, if you want to say that.
What do you mean you did time?
I did school time. I lived there.
School time?
My mom had met this guy, my stepfather, and he lived in Santa Monica, so we moved there.
Okay.
I went to elementary school, junior high, part of high school, and then she left him, and we went back to Monrovia, and then that's where I carried on the rest of my.
How interesting.
Yeah, childhood
So you
life.
had a dad figure for those like formative years.
Well,
and
I
he
had
was gone.
my adopted dad died, and all I can remember is he was a big man, worked
Yeah.
for this water and power district in Pasadena. He was one of the bigwigs of the power district, and he had gotten a brain tumor.
Oh.
I didn't know what the hell that was. I just watched him going from a 6 foot some man, my hero, to a wheelchair to dying.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then
that's so hard.
Well, I always blame my mom because they would not let me go to his funeral.
Why?
They thought I was too young to deal with it.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, I was not a happy camper. So I took it out on my mom for quite a few years. Sammy can contest to this too. I was a dick.
You were angry at her.
Oh, I was pissed. And my mom didn't do anything but try to raise me the best she could, considering I was wild. Since I was 9 years old, I was doing what I want.
Right.
That's when I broke that stick that the parents used to have to beat you with. I broke that and said, yeah, you'll never hit me again.
Really?
Oh yeah, she taught me how to drive a car when I was 9. I was stealing her car by the time I was 12.
What was she thinking about all this stuff, Lance? You just gave her hell.
I did, and I put her through misery.
This poor woman, she's probably like, oh my God. Did I adopt Satan's child?
She did.
Yes.
She did. She straight did. And because I blamed her for everything.
She adopted Satan's child, or you think she was thinking that she adopted Satan's child?
Both. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about that. I mean, I've been out of religion since your mom, actually. She pushed me right out of it. That was part of our problem.
Right.
And I for Debbie's beliefs, I praise her for that, because she spent her whole life doing that.
Yeah.
But she was so bad into it that she got me, because I used to go to church with her or other people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she just pushed me so far away from it that I don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah, extremism can do that.
Yeah, it was. I mean,
she sounded fairly extreme in her beliefs,
right?
And her
she was to the day she died.
And her devotion to those beliefs.
But I give her credit with that, because, that's a long time. It's
it's her life.
38 years of
devotion.
38 years, because she was 30, almost 40 years.
That's longer than that. She went to church before I was born, I think. Right?
She started when you were 16 and a half. When she was 16 and a half, 17 years old. She started with some guy named Green.
Green.
Billy Green or something.
Oh, last name Green.
Something like that. I don't know. He had died in a plane crash shortly after they got involved, but they weren't involved sexually.
Right.
She followed him and whatever,
So you have... Sam has one full biological sibling, right?
Yes.
And then two other.
Then we have Brittany, who was my second wife.
Okay. The one that you were going to shoot.
No,
that's the third wife. In the first episode, you fired a gun and into the ceiling,
and
everybody ran out.
We're going to clarify that when we get to that.
Okay.
It wasn't actually her that I was going to shoot.
No, she said you shot the ceiling. I listened to the episode today.
I was afraid he was going to shoot himself.
It was a ploy to get my then wife back, because we were going through so much shit.
Wait, hold on.
And I was coming down.
No, hold on. How is shooting something a ploy to get someone?
Because she wasn't there. She was on the phone. She thought I was going to shoot myself.
He was trying to get her to come back. He was pretty highly on drugs at this point in time.
Actually, I was sober then. That would have made it worse, because I was coming down off the drugs.
Oh, and you were nasty.
I was nasty, and we were fighting, and she didn't have. Yes, we did have Shane then, and she took Shane and went to a friend's house.
Are you sure Shane was? I don't think.
No, I don't think Shane was born yet. That's right. She wasn't. We were just living together. I think she was pregnant with Shane, if I remember right. But anyway, she'd gone to a friend's house, and we got in a big old fight, knockdown, drag out fight. And
what would you fight about? Like, I always fascinated about what people fight about too.
When you're on drugs, you'll fight about that crumb on the table.
Right.
Why is it there?
But did you fight when you were high, or did you fight when you were coming down? Because you were nice when you were high.
Mostly when we were coming down, because when both of us came down together.
Oh, she was on drugs too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
When both of us came down together, it was like, yikes. One of us had to give, and most of the time it was me, because I didn't want to fight with her, because I love her to death. Don't get me wrong, but she could whip my ass.
Oh yeah.
She's a handful, let me tell you.
A scrapper.
Oh yeah, for
Scrappy.
sure. Well, because we had some knockdown dragouts too that I'm definitely not proud of, but to this day we're best friends.
That's great.
Yeah, right now we're
she's clean too?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's been clean a lot longer than I have.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's been clean for a long time. The only thing she does is drink wine.
Okay.
Well, I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yep. But no, so anyway, we I don't remember what the fight was about. Something fucking stupid.
Something stupid.
It always is.
Right.
It's always something stupid. I didn't do something right, or I did the laundry wrong, or something.
Something that's cool about you, I think, is that what happens, I think, with some addicts. My uncle was a really serious addict. He eventually died of brain cancer, but he was an addict his entire adult life till the day he died. He mostly was an alcoholic, but he also did every drug that existed in the 60s, and he had a little time where I think he did some heroin on a regular basis.
That's the only thing I've never done.
Yeah, but it seemed like he couldn't get himself out of this cycle of shame. Like, I'm so ashamed of my behavior that happened in that time that I'm just going to keep using. It's too much for me to process the things I'm responsible for that happens. He has 5 kids from 3 different women. 2 of them were adopted out because he and his second wife were both addicts, and they were taken by the state. And my grandmother's health was so poor she couldn't take care of them, so they were adopted out. They're in the family now. But then he has 2 kids that are my age, that would have loved for this between you and Sam to have happened. This would have been their dream, for him to at some point to have been able to pull himself out of that cycle of addiction and have a relationship. And the reason I bring that up is it doesn't sound to me like your addiction had a cycle of shame or anything like that.
It really didn't.
It didn't, right?
It was more, my addiction was more, I like this shit. Let's get high and go.
So do you
have
feel like
fun.
It was more about you just having fun?
Yes, that's what the whole thing started with that.
So then why did you stop?
Because the fun turned into nothing. I mean, it turned into hell.
Oh, okay.
I lost everybody around me.
Oh, okay.
I lost, everybody. When Julie and I split up, I had 2 Rottweilers, Lacey and Chandler Rose, and I was couch surfing. Try that with 210-pound Rottweilers, and all the people that I've ever helped with the drugs, instead of helping me by saying no, they were helping me by saying, here's a couch and here's a bag of dope, have fun.
I see.
And so I just kept going because it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this when I was doing drugs.
Right.
We would go scavenger hunting or whatever,
Looking for sheriffs in rock piles.
Yeah, at one point we lived in Atlanta. We lived on 40 acres. I had a golf course that I made on that. I had a dirt bike track.
What'd you do for money during this time? Because I hear a lot of fun, but were you working?
No, well, Julie was working. I was making dope. So
you were making dope.
yeah.
Okay.
So I never really ran out because I always had somewhere.
Resourceful.
I either hid it somewhere because I was high and figured, I'm going to put some over here. And it was just because, and I remember one time.
This is all some new stuff.
Well,
it's amazing.
It's fascinating.
No, what is amazing is that
she moved out at one point with her boyfriend.
Yeah,
she
15,
moved out,
right?
Right. She moved out, and she moved out with her boyfriend.
Why do you think she did that?
Because of my dumb ass. Oh, I know why. It was never
But why? But why?
Because I was a dick.
You were?
Oh, yeah. When I came down, here's the deal.
But why were you?
When I was high.
Were you just like, you're a fucking piece of shit?
No, when I was high, I was busy doing things, working on bikes, working on cars, doing whatever. Because I worked on, my house was a house you came to if you needed shit fixed or just wanted to hang out. We had a dartboard. We had
golf course.
Yeah, golf course. We had in
bikes.
that particular house. Not only did we had our setup, which had we had a ping pong table, we had dartboard, we had all the outside stuff. If you went down a road that we made to another friend's house, he's got the horseshoes, the pool. Uh-huh. So we had every one of us, and there was 5 of us out there, had a house with shit to do.
A party house.
So that's what we did. Yeah. And every one of us at one time or another made the shit. So like if I didn't want to do it today, then somebody else down here would do it then. And then we just shared it back and forth. And it was.
Do you ever make any bad shit where people got sick? No.
I've never heard, to my knowledge, I've never heard anybody.
So what this is telling me is that you are really smart.
Well, I don't know about.
Yeah, no, like
smart.
really
No, he's super
smart. Like maybe like genius smart. Because if you're smart enough to work the system like you did, right? To work, I don't mean this disrespectfully in any way, but if you're not working and you find women who are working,
right,
that's working the system, right? In a certain way.
What Dana, Brittany's mom, I put her through nail school at first.
Right.
And then before we split up, I put her through hair school.
But what were you doing to
I was
pay
doing,
for that?
I ran bars.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It
was
so
always just making dope. Yeah.
You were working.
I'm working on cars or whatever.
Okay. You were making money.
Yeah, I had odd and jobs here and there. I just
Got
didn't, it was like I didn't really need them.
Did you have them with Julie though?
Yeah, I had a couple of jobs when I was with Julie. That's when I ran the bar for people I can't really say. Anyway, in Victorville, the one, I don't know if you remember that.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, I ran the bar there, and I was there till 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. Then I'd go over to Julie's house, and then I'd come home because my ex-wife, Dana, and I had an agreement. She would stay home with the kid during the night, and then when I'd come home in the morning, I'd watch the baby, and then she would take off and go to school.
Right.
So, but the day that she graduated from hair school is the day she moved out, and that was our agreement. And meanwhile, Julie and I were together at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was kind of a weird relationship because Dana knew that we were together because I never hid it because Dana and I weren't sleeping together at that point.
Know?
Yeah.
Does Brittany,
Oh, yeah.
Brittany knows all this?
Well, I think so.
Sorry,
She
Brittany,
does.
if you don't.
If she does, she does now.
There you go, Brittany.
Yeah. But I mean, no, she knows that her mom and I had a rocky relationship as far as that's concerned.
And if you were all copacetic in that arrangement,
Yeah.
who is
Dana never did drugs.
drugs.
Well, I can't say she never
Wait,
did.
Dana is
She's
Brittany's
Brittany's mom.
Okay.
Yeah, the second wife.
She did drugs a couple of times, and then she had an anxiety attack at my house in Monrovia before we moved, and that was on cocaine, mind you. It wasn't meth. And she never done it since.
Right.
But she didn't give a shit if I did, as long as I, kept to myself or whatever.
Right.
When she was pregnant with Brittany, I had a tractor service. At one point, I started a tractor service when we moved to Victorville.
What is a tractor service?
Land prep tractor service is what it was called. I would go clean people's yards, dig, build places, stuff like that.
Okay.
And I had radios in my truck, and Dana would always say, take off, go to your friends, have at it. As long as I can get a hold of you on the radio, I'll see you in a couple of days.
Right.
Because it was better me being gone than it was being up her ass.
Right,
so,
right. Right.
Because like I said, when I was high, I was fun. When I wasn't high is when I paid attention to your room, going to school.
Oh. Is that right, Sam?
Oh, he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, how do you mean?
He was abusive.
Abusive how?
Verbally abusive.
Like
physically abusive with Lance.
Like, what do you mean?
There were a couple of times he grabbed Lance
I didn't beat him, but I grabbed him.
by the neck.
Picked him up off the ground.
Oh, okay.
Lance is a lot like me,
Yeah.
and we to this day still have problems from time to time.
I don't think you guys ever really talked about it, though.
No, because he won't. I just get blamed for everything, which is okay because a lot of it is me,
Right.
But
it is hard too when your kid is just like you. I have one of those.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we are constantly butting
Right.
heads, and Bert's like, it's like watching you fight with you.
Yeah,
It's,
there
it's
you go.
fascinating. You are fighting with you.
Yes.
Stubborn versus stubborn.
Right.
Headstrong versus headstrong. My way or the highway versus, and that's sometimes how it shakes down. You two aren't that much alike. I mean, I see that you're related and all that stuff, but you two aren't
Well,
probably as alike as you and Lance.
I
No,
have
I-
his temper, but nobody knows.
I've
that
never
I have
seen
a
your temper.
No.
I
you
know.
don't want to.
Nobody knows that I
Her
have
temper?
one.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't even think she
When
had
she
one.
was a kid,
Most people don't
the
know that I have
neighborhood
one.
kids used to pick on Lance. She was about 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
I come around the corner on one of my choppers, and Samantha's beating the shit out of some boy, not a girl, a boy.
Yeah.
I stop. What are you doing? He's picking on Lance. Continue. And I
Right.
ride up the street.
Right?
I'm proud of my girl. Beat the shit out of him.
Right.
I'm not worried about guys with her. I'm more worried
yeah.
about the guys that I am with
Right,
the girl. Because she'll take a bat to him because that's the way she was.
I don't think you need to worry about
No,
Samantha much at all.
I mean, well, she knows that her dad. I've always here's the thing. I've always physically been here for the kids.
Yeah.
Not always mentally, which
Well, see-
means I'm in the same house.
Yeah.
But my head's in the clouds doing some other shit.
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Was not related to what they were doing. So
Right.
I'd be out in the garage and working on the cars or whatever. One particular time, and I tell Samantha, I said, "What were you thinking?" Her and her girlfriend were on this one house. Her girlfriend lives across the street, still her best friend. She's like my daughter too, love her to death. I'm sitting outside putting a motor in my car.
It's the middle of the night.
2:00 in the fucking morning. The neighbor boys were having a party. I already knew about this.
Yeah.
I was tweaking, working on the car. I'm sitting there. They didn't see me, but I'm sitting there watching them as they crawl out the window of the bedroom. and walk over to the house.
Oh, stupid.
So, yeah, our house is here. Celeste's house is here. And the boys' house is right next to our house. So we crawl out of the windows and like try to through the dark. I mean, it's like in the desert, so there are no street lights.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
dark,
black.
right.
But we crawl out and walk over to the
Busted.
Oh,
What
we
happened?
busted. About 10 minutes later, I go next door.
Shit.
I walk in the house. Samantha had a sweatshirt on when she left, but she had a tank top, if I remember right.
I had a shirt on.
You had a
underneath my
shirt on,
sweatshirt.
but I mean,
She was naked.
She was,
I
no,
was-
she wasn't naked.
I was like 12.
No, she wasn't naked.
I'm joking.
But
I'm joking.
I walked in the house and I told Samantha, I looked at her and I said something like that, you know, what were you thinking? Sneaking out of the house when your dad's sitting here watching you, and put a shirt on.
Oh my God.
That's all I said because I was really protective of that, you know.
Of her girliness.
She had, yes, and she had, at that particular time, she had just came into womanhood, so she was like bigger than normal kids and whatever. And it's like, nah. You touch that, I'm going to cut that off. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I've done that before.
So did you get in
too.
trouble? Like, were you grounded?
No,
I don't think so. Well, he
No.
was high.
I didn't care.
So
I
he
just
didn't
told her,
care
just,
when
you
he
know,
was high.
I said, just don't do nothing stupid and, you know, think about it next time.
Right.
You probably would have been better off just walking over and saying, Dad, I want to go over there. I might have would have said no because it was boys.
And it was 2 in the morning.
But, you know, sneaking out, it was like, oh, I'm going to fuck with them now.
That's funny.
And he
So
did.
now,
It's when I came down is I was a dick. Because, you know, my one main rule
He had to sleep,
was, I had to sleep. But my one main rule is go to school.
except
Yeah.
for one time, or maybe a few times.
A few times.
When you made me stay home to babysit my siblings so that you could sleep when you were
Yes.
coming down. I missed a test.
Oh, I don't remember the test.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I take full responsibility for that shit. No, you're not going to school today. You're staying fucking home.
Yeah.
You need to watch these kids. I need to sleep.
You want to go to your friend's
Right.
house, you're taking your siblings with
Yep.
you.
You can go to your
so
friends.
what
You can go wherever
what do
you
you
want.
think that is about? Like, what is that about? Like, I guess it's just being an addict where your needs supersede everybody else's in that
Well, my
moment.
coming down needs supersede everybody
that's what I mean.
else.
Yes.
You know.
And that's so interesting because I'm not an addict. I don't have any of those issues. I am the other way to a fault where I go, no, everybody's needs supersede mine for anything.
Mine too.
You know, you have navel lint. That's definitely more important than my toothache. You know.
Well, that's the way I am today.
Right. That would
You know?
be my impression of you today
Right.
is that you're like, oh, you need me, I'm there. I mean, like when I broke down on the street the other day and then you were like, why didn't you call me? It never even occurred
I see that on
to
Instagram
me.
and I'm going, why the hell did she call me? I had a tow truck.
I know I didn't.
Because it was early in the morning and I don't take my truck back until 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, but
so
I didn't
I'm
know
going,
any of that.
Nobody knows.
And I didn't have your phone number. I would have
Well,
to
then
call
you'll
Sam,
have
and
to
then
have it
Sam would have
today.
come and gotten me. And then there's 4 kids, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to deal with. I have AAA for that reason. It was
Right.
a free tow, so I just
Yeah.
stood there in my pajamas with no bra on Ventura Boulevard and no wallet.
Hello? Yeah.
But anyway, I always wonder about that because I think, when I was talking to someone about depression, I was like, I never thought that was an option to say, oh, life can stop because I'm depressed and I can't get out of bed. Or life can stop because I'm an addict and I need this drug. Or life can stop for whatever that's never been an option in my world, even from a child. And I think probably for Sam too, it was never an option for her to go, oh, I'm just going to check out because I have these 3 other kids that somebody's got to be watching over because wife's at work, you're asleep. And that's not an option. It's so interesting to me how that's an option for people. Like that's an option for you to go, no, I'm sleeping, you're staying home. Because it's an option for Bert too, all the time.
When I've been up for any more than a day and a half, 2 days, I know what direction this is heading. So it's best for me to nip it in the ass and go to bed now. And keep in mind, I was not out of dope by far.
You were just self-regulating.
Yes, pretty much. I was like,
Right.
okay. And
Enough's
then,
enough.
But there was time that I would quit because I would get fed up with it and say, you know what, fuck this. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not making it anymore. Screw everybody. Because it got to a point to where when I first started making it, it was a party thing. People would go out and get the materials that I want and they'd bring it to me on a Friday. I'd make it, and then Saturday and Sunday we'd all party. And then Sunday night I'd tell them, get the fuck out, go home, and I don't want to see you for a week.
Right. It's a
so
weekend.
it was a party thing.
Right.
You know. And it's like I told one of the cops who raided my house one time. He comes to my house and he goes, so, you know, we've been watching you for months and months and months. You weren't here at this time. And they'd actually blocked off Analana Road and 395 thinking I was going to run. And I'm like going, where in my book, out of 15 years of being under suspicion for manufacturing, does it say anything about me being a rabbit? Well, they tried to tie me and another friend together that was a rabbit.
What's a rabbit?
Run. Take off from the police.
A runner.
I said, do I look like I'm going to run anywhere? Look, you're at my house.
Did you ever go to jail?
Yes, but not for dope.
What'd you go to jail for?
Stupid shit. Traffic crap. I had 9 driving on it suspended, no insurance, no registration tickets.
Lance.
I got raided one time. They were looking for dope and they found an explosive device.
What kind of explosive device?
Smart and stupid.
It
all
was
at the
a
same
military trip flare.
Dad.
It was a military trip flare. Now here's the deal with that.
It's ridiculous.
That's the only thing they could find.
Well, where was the dope?
House.
Buried?
Yes.
I knew it.
Off the property. See, that's the key.
Yeah.
I never had the shit
on
at the
your
house.
property.
The only thing I had at the house.
Look, you're diabolically smart.
I only
right?
had I had the shit at the house that was personal. It was enough you could go, and it would be gone.
Right.
Blow it off the mirror, and it'd be gone.
Right.
Or the wife would take it, or some friends, or whatever. Somehow or another, it got missing. And
it wasn't enough.
They thought it was. They're going to be slick. Oh, we're going to take some of this, and we're going to hide it from him.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead, because the rest of the pound is over here. You don't even know about. That's just what I left you, type shit.
Right.
You know.
That's what I'm letting you know about.
Yeah, that's all you know. I mean, they know I did what I did, but they don't know how much. I never taught anybody.
Did you snort it? Smoke it?
I've snorted it, smoked it, slammed it. I did everything.
Did you really?
Yeah. My choice, which is not a good choice, and I hated needles when I was a kid. Hated them.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
That. I mean, hated them. Yeah. That was my way to do it.
I think everybody's choice is that.
Once you've gotten to that level, there's no other, number one. You can't get any higher than that.
Right.
But my reasoning for this, which is fucking stupid, I could take $20 worth of dope and I could put it on a line and do that shit. And about 3 hours later, I want more.
Right.
I could do $20 worth of dope, put it in my arm, and I'm good for 12, 13, 14 hours.
Really?
So I looked at it as in...
It was a financial decision.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's all about budgeting.
Yeah, it was all about budgeting.
Oh, my God.
And then I had one of my buddies one of my buddies who's now dead.
Dead? Why?
He died of hepatitis C and some other multiple.
From needle.
From dope. Yeah. Matter of fact, he was the only person in the world that I ever shared with, and I had to get cured for hepatitis C because of that.
Did you really?
Yes, but
it's such a dangerous condition.
It is, but after 20 years of slamming dope,
that's pretty good.
I'm lucky I didn't get anything else.
You are very lucky.
Real lucky.
Even just a blood infection.
Yep. I mean, totally. And I only had what they call cotton fever.
What the hell is cotton fever?
Okay, it's when you get a piece of fiber or whatever you draw in, it gets into your blood system.
I see.
It's like a migraine on steroids.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's brutal. You know how light sensitive and all that kind would it's like hitting big drums in my ears. I mean, it was bad. And here I'm laying next to the woman that never knew, out of 13 years we were together, never knew I slammed dope.
What?
Who?
Julie. She had no idea that I ever slammed it. She always thought I smoked it or snorted it.
She just thought you smoked it or snorted it.
Oh, I was like, wait, there's no way you hid that from her. She was doing it too.
Nope.
No, I was thinking
she just didn't know.
No.
She didn't know how.
The only thing she did was smoke it and snort it. Now, with that being said, though, I've also, when you asked me that, I would snort it from time to time. Just because I was with friends or whatever.
Right.
I didn't like to smoke it because you can sit there and smoke it, and you'll smoke all your shit and you're still sitting there talking instead of getting up doing something.
Right.
It just doesn't, it's a different motivation.
It sounds like it's a different chemical reaction in your body.
It is. It's a different high. You know,
Right.
It's like smoking cigars or cigarettes or whatever. You can sit
Right.
here and bullshit and smoke cigars, and next thing you know, we're going through a pack of cigarettes. Well,
Right,
same thing
right,
with dope.
right.
You put an 8-ball on the table, and every time you load the pipe, pass it around.
Yeah.
Gets empty, you load it again, pass
Yeah.
it around. You do a line, there's only that much. Well, in my case, there was that much of a line. Most people do that much, but
Right.
lines, you do the line, and you get up because what are you going to do?
Right.
You know, now let's go do something. Let's go build a car, ride a bike, do whatever you want to do.
Right. So now, when you got sober, were you tired? Like when you got, was your body just like?
Yeah, for a
done?
while it was run down, but the weed is pretty much is what did that to. I gained a lot of weight. And before I went to work, and yeah, I used to build computers. And I started doing this back when Windows 3.1.1, if you remember that.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I started doing this. I was getting high. I needed something to do.
Right.
Okay. I had just gotten all my tools and everything. I got my whole garage ripped off. So I had no more tools, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to thrift stores, and I'd get out of the trash cans these computers, and I'd start putting them together, and I'd build them, and I'd give them to the kids for whatever, Christmas
Right.
or whatever. Well, I started doing that all the way up until 2006, I guess, whenever I got my license back. And when I quit doing dope.
Right.
Because when I was doing the dope, I was concentrating. I could build any computer. I'd modify computers. I'd do any of the program.
Again, really smart.
I did all this shit, and I started doing it for money towards the end. You know, even when I was making dope, because I quit making dope in 1999.
Okay.
I quit doing that. I didn't quit doing it, but I quit making it.
Quit making it, right?
Yeah. I had a situation with a cop that pretty much woke me up to reality.
Really?
Yeah. And this guy gave me a pass, and it was just the way he gave me the pass that I decided.
Well, what was that? What do you mean?
Well, I just got through making a bunch of product for somebody that I was working for. I had a pair of shorts on, no shirt, track marks running up and down both arms because I didn't give a fuck about anything. I missed my wife. I missed my family. They were gone. You know, my wife and kid was gone. I didn't see them for 2 years. You know, I lost everything. So I just didn't care.
Right.
So I go across the street from where I was doing it, and there's a liquor store there. And I remember getting a Milky Way and some milk.
Uh-huh.
My go-to snacks. Still
Right.
is. And I'm standing in line with 4 or 5 other people, and this particular cop walks in the door. It was an Antelano cop. They're no longer there, so I can say that. He walks in. He walks past me, looks at me, and shakes his head, walks away. So, you know, me being the dick I am, fuck you. Who the hell do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know, I'm standing in line. He comes back. He grabs my arm. He looks me in the face, and he goes, "You need to check yourself, boy." And he just shakes his head, throws my arm out of the way, and walks up, throws his money on the counter in front of everybody, throws his money on the counter, looks at me again, shakes his head, and walks out. Now, keep in mind, every track mark is a felony, and I probably got 10 of them.
Wow.
So he could have taken me in for that.
Right.
I smelled like dope.
Right. Right.
That's part of the check me. You need to check yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, so I went outside. At first I sat down and I'm outside going, who the fuck does he think he is?
Right.
And then I started thinking. And I'm watching this cop. He's watching me, and then he just drives off. So I sat there for probably a good 30 minutes.
Really?
Just thinking. You know, because this guy he could be still watching me. And then that part of it went out the window, and I went, you know, what was he, you know, what was he, why didn't he, what was his game? Why was he telling me this shit? And then that's when it started to hit me. You know what? He just gave me a fucking pass. And I went back across the street from where I was working, and I told the person I was working for, I said, I'm done. My partner at that particular time just got busted for something else, doing something else. So he just got busted. I spent 4 or 5 days cleaning up everything, got paid, and I moved my trailer to the trailer park, and I haven't made dope since.
Wow.
So that was the end of that. I swore that I would never do it again. And I've been, and Sammy can contest to this, I've been to the curb and not had a penny to my name, where she had to send me food money to Reno, and I still have not gone back in a lab.
That's good.
You know, so I know, because, you know, I can make 12, 15 grand in 12 hours.
Right.
All I got to do is go back to this work, same people.
Right.
And, you know, but I won't do it.
It's interesting that one guy said
that's only one
on the right day.
Right.
That's the thing, is that it hits
Right.
you at the right time on the right day, and for whatever reason your brain went, hold on. let me just figure this one out. I mean, how many other times has something happened that your brain wasn't ready, or yourself or whatever wasn't ready to go?
No, it wasn't.
Right,
it was.
let me see what this
it
is
was.
about.
You know, I don't want to admit that I was depressed because I had all the dope in the world. And every time I get depressed, I just do a bigger dose, and I was happy again, and whatever.
Do you think you were depressed?
Oh, I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have my family. I mean,
You mean at that time?
At that time, I still miss my family.
Yeah.
I miss Julie and I miss my family. I'm not gonna hide that.
Right.
I'm sure she knows it. If she doesn't, she listens to this. She will now.
Right.
But, I mean, whatever. That doesn't mean that things could ever work out. It just means that I miss. Because no matter how, at the end of the day, no matter how fucked up our relationship was, or we always got in the same bed together, and we always slept next to each other.
Right. And you miss
up
that.
until the end. Yes, I miss that.
And now
I
you don't
miss
have your
that.
dog. I gotta move your mic.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm gonna go like this.
All right.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Austin?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, Austin's been.
Oh, you should have said something. Well,
I didn't want to interrupt you.
You could have. No, I miss the family.
Yeah.
I miss the because even though we had one definite, how do you want to say that, dysfunctional family?
Yeah.
It was still a family.
It was still a family.
Right.
So, but you have a bike family.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, at that time I didn't.
Oh, at that time you did.
No, because
No, he had
I'd
nobody.
gotten
At
away
that time
from.
you had nobody.
I had
You were
nothing.
gone.
Did you have her?
No.
No relationship with Sam.
No relationship with any of the kids.
So why? Well, how long was that?
I did have a relationship with Shane after about a year and a half of her and Julie, or him and Julie being gone. Shane would come over to the trailer and stay with me,
Right.
whatever, and he'd stay for a couple of weeks or a month at an end, with summertime most of the time, stuff like that.
Right.
So we've always had that relationship. Shane and I have a different relationship than all the rest of the kids.
Right. Why do you think that is?
I just think because he was the youngest, and after they had left, he was to my hip all the time. Mm-hmm. And, I never really I didn't hide anything from any of the kids. Mm-hmm. They've never necessarily seen it, but they all knew it. They all knew what was going on.
Right.
There's a lot more deeper things to this that because I did a lot of things for a lot of different people, like protect their families and from violence that had to do with drugs and stuff like this. So I did a lot of stuff that I put my family on hold and grab my guns and go deal with your family, per se.
Right.
Now,
how do you think that made your family feel?
Well, at the time, I just figured my family's protected at home because there's guns there. Julie knew how to use them. And so did Sam, as far as that's concerned. I mean, not that she would grab one at 15 years old, but I knew she was safe.
She didn't beat the fuck out of somebody down the street, so I'm just saying.
Were safe. They were safe at home. That's how, in my mind, my drugged out mind, that was it. I would grab my guns and my partner and take off, and I'd be gone for days protecting somebody else's shit, thinking my shit's all good. Everything's fine. When in reality, the house is fine because everybody's scared to go by there. We had 6 Rottweilers at one point.
Right.
So, the dogs were all mean, and God forbid you fuck with any of the kids with the dogs because they will tear you up.
Right.
But, in their mind, now that I stop and look at it, I abandoned them.
Right.
That's the bottom line. I abandoned them. Julie would go to work. Sam would have to stay and watch kids.
Right.
That's all there was to it. And I was busy doing other things for other people.
Right.
Instead of being here for my family.
Right.
So there was a time that I quit for 6 or 8 months, something in that sort. And all these kids got together. This is fucked up too. And they all looked at me and go, Dad, you need to go back and get high. You need to get back on the dope. Remember that, Sammy?
I don't actually.
Yep. They all said that.
They did?
Yes. Because
Why?
I was such a dick. When I was
But what do you
sober.
mean you were a dick? Like,
I was
what is
mean.
That, what do you
I would
mean?
make them.
Okay.
I would make them clean the room. I would make them clean the house. I'd make them
but
do the
that's not
dishes.
being a dick.
No.
No. I would make them, like, literally scream at them to do this shit. I wouldn't give them 5 minutes to do it.
So you were like a tyrant.
Yeah. Okay. We can use that.
Yeah, I mean, like you were like.
You're gonna do what I say.
Yeah, like
now.
the Lord
Right now.
of the house. You
Right
were
now.
lording
Yes.
over. Yeah.
Right
Like
now.
they didn't do like it's not like normal kid chores where go take out the trash because that's what it was like you're scrubbing the house top to bottom and you are kids and it is all your responsibility and I'm not doing shit.
So now, question: where is where's the love in this time period? Do you know what I mean? Because I know you loved your kids.
Oh, yeah.
But how did you show them that? Or did you? I don't know.
You know what? That's a good question because
when I think of my dad, I sat in my dad's lap every night and watched TV. And, you know, he always gave me a little side hug and, you know, he always told me he loved me. And even though I saw him 4 days a month, I still had felt that love. So I wonder, the picture I'm seeing is you're in the garage tinkering or you're asleep. So when did that love piece happen?
When they would come out and hang out in the garage with me.
Okay.
Or we'd get in a car and go somewhere or you know, do something in that sort.
Okay.
You know?
What do you think about that?
I don't know. It's kind of hard to remember.
She blocked a lot of this shit out. She had a good reason to, because I was, again, a dick. I mean, you know, for a while there, we were living together by ourselves, and I was more of a father than.
That was probably the most you were ever a father.
Right. Yeah. That was when I showed her, actually, this is what I'm involved in. You need to know this because you're living with me. And Frankie at the time was living with us too.
Who's Frankie?
Frankie was just a friend of mine, a good friend of mine.
A guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
That he was actually dealing dope. At that time, I was making it every now and then. I wasn't really heavily into making it.
You were dabbling.
Yeah, I was just dabbling.
They were both like Frankie, like they were, you know.
We'd ride together.
They were brothers.
Yeah, we'd ride together. We'd play darts together. We'd go places together. I mean,
everything.
We were together 90% of the time.
Right.
I actually made him bring his kid to the house on the visitation days that I had Brittany, and I would have him bring Joseph over because he didn't have a relationship with his kid either.
Right.
You know. So anyway, but get back to that. We were living in the same apartment, so you know we were closer then.
Right.
And whatever, but she'd come out in the garage and hang out and you know do her thing or whatever, and she was always on the back of my motorcycle.
Right.
Always.
Right.
I mean, at 9 years old, she rode all the way from, and I got some serious shit for Julie for that one. We got on the bike and we took off and went to who I call my little brother and sister. They're not blood, but I've known her since they were 5, to Kathy's wedding in Monrovia. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, we lived in Victorville. We get there.
That's a long ride.
It's starting to, the ride was nothing going down because she's always been on the back of my bike since she was a little girl.
Right.
Always. It started to rain. Pouring rain, and we're riding back. She's got my jacket covering her head, buried in my back, and we're on a rigid frame chopper, riding back up the hill. We get back up. We had to stop at one point.
Like puddles in my shoes.
Yeah, we had to stop at one point underneath the bridge on the 138 and 15 because it was raining so hard,
so bad
that it was even the bike started to run like shit.
So let me ask you this: how do you think her childhood shows up in present day for Sam?
What do you mean? As far as
like, as all the damage done?
No. I mean,
I'm kidding.
Like I know how being raised by my mom shows up today, where I go, oh, the reason I am so frank with people is because I never knew if she was being honest. And so I'm not going to be someone that you have to figure out what I'm saying. I'm going to say, hey, I really like your shirt. And that's kind of all it means. Because my mom would say, hey, I really like your shirt. But what she was really saying was go fuck yourself. Right?
Yeah, I get that.
Like, and there's bad things too that that aren't coming to my mind because I am pretty much perfect. But no. I mean, but there's bad things too. Like when Bert and I get in an argument, sometimes because I wasn't allowed to have a voice as a kid, I either had to, I had no choice but to completely agree with what my mother said. So if I said this cup is white and she said this cup is actually black, and I said, but clearly it's white, that was really bad. So I just stopped doing that. No, so the reverse of that happens now as an adult, where I refuse to not have a voice. And so sometimes I have a hard time seeing another point of view because I'm so busy fighting for my own. Because the after effect of having a mother who's so narcissistic and so crazy is that I go, it took me so long to figure out my opinion because my opinion wasn't allowed, that now I'm not, this is mine. It means more than just this fight for me sometimes. So I wonder how growing up with a dad who was an addict and had all this kind of chaos in the house, how do you think it manifests in Sam's life today?
She still has chaos, but she's a good mom.
Well, she is a great mom.
She refuses to be the way I was towards them.
Yes, but what do you
with
think?
Her kids.
What I mean is, what do you think the negative effect is today? What's the negative effect?
I would say some of her depression, maybe. You know, some of her emotional feelings. That that is manifested in her because of the shit that I've done.
Right.
You know.
That she's clearly forgiven you for, but it's still.
Well, yeah, I mean, her and I relationship is night and day as far as that's concerned.
Yeah.
You know, but it wouldn't be that way if I was still doing dope. I can guarantee it.
Right.
You
No,
know?
I don't think it would.
And
either.
it wouldn't be because it wouldn't be something that I wouldn't want to do. It's something she wouldn't put up with.
I agree with you.
You know, that's all there is to it.
Yeah, I agree.
She refuses to put up with any of that shit, and I'm glad for that.
Yeah.
You know, as far as that, I don't really get involved in her shit as far as raising the kids and stuff like that.
Right.
I get frustrated sometimes because she'll tell the kids no and don't do it anyway. And then I'm sitting there going, you heard what they said or what she said. But I got to back off because I'm grandpa and I'm supposed to be the guy that gives them all the shit, not makes them toe the line.
Yeah.
You know.
So
right?
what do you think the negative effect is?
I think he's probably right. I think going through some of the emotional, like just having to move, that was, I think, so much harder for me as an adult, knowing that, what my idea of security and safety is. Like, I'm ripping out from underneath my kids, even though it's nothing near what I experienced as a kid.
Totally. Yeah, it's night and day.
Right. Like, I think that it's, those kind of pieces of holding on to, like, I don't know if that makes sense.
I know what you mean. You just moved out of the house into a new house.
Yeah.
And that probably triggered a lot of old emotions for you from your childhood that...
You don't know how many houses we moved out of.
Yeah, I can imagine. I moved a lot too as a kid for different reasons.
It was just brutal.
Moving's awful. It was. As a child.
I mean, there's just and again, all of it's because we didn't pay the fucking bills.
Right.
Everything else was more important than the bills.
Right.
And it wasn't buying dope. It was doing other stupid shit.
Right.
Let's go do this. Let's go do that. We don't need to pay that bill. Let's do this.
Right.
And then catch up on us.
Right.
And then when we did try to do the right things, it was too late. So, but I do want to stress that, Julie was a good woman.
Yeah.
And she still is.
She's the only one alive.
She's the only one that's alive.
She's the only one alive? What happened to the middle one?
Dana passed away of brain cancer 3 weeks after my mom passed away.
Lung cancer.
That's
lung cancer.
The stepmother. Okay.
That's my stepmother.
3 weeks from the day, 1 hour from the time.
I can't believe
on my mom's birthday. On my mom's
Wednesday,
birthday.
Wednesday, 3 weeks earlier, Wednesday at 6 o'clock at night, Debbie died. And then 3 weeks to the day, at 7 o'clock at night, Dana died.
That's crazy.
Yeah, them bitches got something waiting for me. They both.
They may not be the only two.
It might not be.
Just say it.
They hated each other, but let me tell you, they're together now, and I'm in deep shit.
They're up there like this.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're waiting.
Just wait, motherfucker.
I was the first wife. I get in first.
Yeah.
Right?
You better hope you go the other way because we got something for you.
I bet you what's happening really is that they see you now as who you are now. Because who you are now is a pretty great person.
Thank you.
So all those things you describe, I can see how you were that way, but I really can't see how you were that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like the building a golf course, totally see that. Having all these people around you where everything's a party and everything's fun, totally see that. I can see you have a pretty big voice, how scary it would sound if you got mad at me. Please don't ever get mad at me.
No.
Yell at me. Because your voice yelling at me, I would probably pee my pants.
I don't yell at pretty much anybody anymore.
But as a kid...
Yes.
If I do
terrible.
yell, then you got to be a real dumbass because I just don't let my blood pressure get up anymore. I deal with a lot of idiots at work.
Yeah.
Most of them are drunk.
Yeah.
So that makes it even worse.
Yeah.
And but I want to say that when Julie and I were together, and I want to say this so she knows as well if she does listen to this, she always went to work.
Yeah.
Always went to work.
Yeah.
She'd come home, she'd clean the fucking house.
Yeah.
That's the shit that I should have been doing.
Okay.
Because that was the only thing she really asked of me.
Was
Take
to
care of
clean
the
the
kid
house? Oh.
and clean the house, do dishes, stuff like that.
Right.
And I was too busy doing other shit to do that.
Isn't it amazing, hindsight?
Yep. So it's
So
straight in. 'Cause
amazing.
I'm not saying that we would still be together to this day because there's other reasons involved in our breakup. But if I was to put myself in that position to where I would do the little things like that,
Right.
there'd be a good chance.
Well, it sounds like you may regret her.
What do you mean regret it? You
Like-
mean regret losing her?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah.
I do. I miss her. I really
Yeah.
do.
Aw.
But you know what? She had to go her way and get sober. I had to go my way and get sober. And like I said, we're friends now.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I don't want anything out of this coming to be bad on her.
No,
because
no,
it wasn't
yeah.
her that did this. This shit started way before
Totally.
way before her and I. I just added her in the mix.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like I
I
brought her into the mix.
I understand.
And
Your train was already going off the track.
Oh, yeah,
It
my
was
train-
already
It was
off
already
the track.
off the
It was
track.
in the ditch.
It
under
was
the river.
It was off the
in
tracks.
bad
And when
shape,
I had met Julie, I was like I said, I was coming out of a relationship with Dana, and she had worked at Costco, and she had said something about going for a ride one day, and we hit it off ever since. And
She had you at hello.
well, she actually had me a year before that, because I used to go through her line every day or every
You did
once
not.
a month.
Oh, my God.
Once a month, I'd go through her line.
That is adorable.
Once a month, I'd go through her line, and then I'd park my Harley right out in front of the doors.
So stupid.
I'd park
It's
my
not
Harley.
stupid. I can
I
see
know,
him with his
it's-
huge singing
oh,
toilet
yeah.
paper. I don't know how I'm going to get this on my Harley. But if you ever want to
I
ride.
would always go with friends. I had another friend that was a girl at her friend, so I'd go with her, Debbie Boyer. I'd go with Debbie, or I'd go with Dana, or whatever. But I always went through her line.
How funny.
Always. And then one day I went through there with Debbie Boyer and her family, and they went in. She said, "Is that your Harley outside?" Because you'd hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is when you could actually pull up to the door, so I
Yeah.
would park it right at the door.
Right.
And I told her yes, and then she said, "Well, maybe someday we could go for a ride." And I said, "Do you have a boyfriend?" She said, "No." I said, "All right, cool." So she gave me her number. So a week or so later, I called her. So guy answers the phone.
Uh-oh.
So I goes, "Julie there?" She goes, "No, she's at work or something." I said, "All right, cool." I go, "Who's this?" She goes, "This is her boyfriend." I said, "All right, cool. Tell her Lance called." And it was it. I didn't call her for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
My dumbass buddy, Frankie, goes, "Dude."
Same Frankie?
Same Frankie. Goes, "Dude, she's got a hot sister. Let's go to their house." So that's what we did.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Her house was just as much of a party house than mine was.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So then we partied and took off on the bike.
Match made in
Pretty much.
heaven,
pretty-
sort of.
yeah.
Maybe not heaven. Maybe
No,
heaven.
not heaven, but it was a pretty good match.
Purgatory.
Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much.
Not quite hell, but
And-
not quite. We don't know where we are.
And we got together and we went out from there. And and like I said, she did everything in her power to try to keep this family together.
Right.
And she was always on the kid's side as far as that. Your dad's a dick.
Yeah.
I know that.
She was. I do remember that.
She's
Yeah.
always been on the kid's side. She would get my ass. We'd get in fights over that.
Really?
Yeah, because you're so fucking mean to them kids and all this other shit. She was
Really?
mom. She was.
Yeah.
She was
Sounds
even
like
though
she's a good
even though
person.
Sam's
is,
mom
is a good person. She's still alive.
Yeah, no, she's a
Is.
great person. She's
Yeah.
just, she's got her own thing going on and,
Right.
and whatever. And, but now we're, like I said, we're great friends now. And,
That's good.
and I want her to be a part of the grandkids. And, because she just met I just sent her pictures of the new baby, Lance's
Yeah.
new baby. And I told her, I said, "You do know that you have 11 grandkids. These kids are not just my grandkids, they're yours too.
Right.
Even though they're not blood, they're yours."
How old were you when Julie showed up?
I was probably 7 or 8. I
Oh,
think.
that's young.
Yeah, 7 or 8.
And
Okay,
I
then.
remember because Lance and I are a year apart. So
So then
wait,
Dana.
how many years apart are Brittany and I?
Brittany's 30.
So we're 9 years apart.
Yeah.
So then I was older than that.
No, you were about 8 or so. Yeah, because when I got yelled at for that
I was like 9 or 10.
You were 9 when we came up the hill, and Julie and I just started going out together at that point.
But you were still with Dana.
Yeah, well, I was living with Dana, but we weren't.
Right. You were still, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had an agreement. And when I got yelled at for coming up the hill with her being wet, that was Julie, because I went to her house, and she's all screaming at me, "What the hell are you doing with this little kid on your back of your bike in the rain?" And, I got in a...
No, I do remember her being fiercely protective of
Yes.
So then,
myself and my brother.
okay, so then you, how long were you with Dana? What was that age group for Sam? Was that like
Oh,
I think
baby.
I was
Four
I think I was
to-
like 4.
4 to 8 or 9?
4 to about 8, I guess.
Yeah.
And then you had Julie from like 10 to...
I don't know. I moved out of the house at that point in time.
So
Yes.
you
After-
had Julie until you left.
Yeah.
Until 15, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think I moved out when I was 14.
So were you closer to Dana or Julie?
I was probably closer to Dana the
Yeah.
older that I got. When Dana and my dad weren't together anymore, because at that point in time, then Julie and my dad, like, I remember Julie in the beginning of their relationship was super protective of me, and then, you know, they had my brother Shane, and then I think she probably got involved with drugs, and I remember I called Dana if I lost my virginity. I called Dana. I didn't. She was like the one person. She was the mother.
Hid it from me.
She was She was my mother at that
Good
point
thing
in time.
too.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a
Yeah.
smart move.
Yeah.
So she was your mother.
She was my mother.
Of all the women in your life, Dana was the mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how people show up in your life. You're lucky that you had someone show up that you could connect to in some way.
Yeah.
That was like your mother. Because but so when all this is going on, right? Where was your mother?
Well, they were fighting back and forth with my dad for custody of us.
But you know what's interesting is, okay, you're younger than me. So this would have been in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in Georgia in the 80s, you would never have gotten custody because you are the dad.
I wasn't supposed to get custody in
Then
the 80s.
how did the mom lose it? What did she have to do? That's pretty
She
big.
had her own little problems in her head
Yeah.
that, you know, that just manifested. And I had a good lawyer, and I had a lot of money behind me, and a lady who recently had died, Sheila, that's like grandma, I guess you would say. She was a political consultant. So she was a little redheaded Irish chick that you
Yeah.
didn't fuck with.
Right.
So when her mom and family got involved, Sheila got involved because she was like my mom too, and it just manifested from there. The sad part about it was, and like I said, I don't want to talk bad about Daddy because she's not here.
Right.
But when we fought tooth and nail over this custody bullshit,
Yeah.
she had dropped the kids off at my doorstep at 3:00 in the morning. And
But
said,
why?
She said, "I can't handle them no more. You fucking take them."
Why?
She just couldn't handle them. They were both, I think you were just out of diapers.
I don't know. I don't
Lance
remember.
was in diapers.
How close are you and Lance in age?
We're a
15
year
months.
and
15 months.
Yeah.
So Lance was either just out of diapers or something of that sort, but they were small.
Really small.
And anyway, so I was, needless to say, rather pissed. You know, at that time, I couldn't get anybody to help me babysit, so I had bought a camper to put on my truck, and I was driving a tow truck for Johnny's Tow, and I would take them with me and put a dog in the camper and put them in the yard, and the tow truck drivers would all take turns staying at the yard running calls to make sure they were okay all night.
Wow.
And that's what we did.
Wow.
So we went through a big custody war. Like I said, they went through this 8-page deposition of
4 years. It was.
But,
It was a
if
bloodbath.
But wait though, if she dropped them off at 3 a.m. saying I can't handle it, why did she want them back?
She came back all the time with my grandma and my great grandma. I don't know who was the catalyst for it. But it was a year.
Grandma
I mean,
Janie
I
was-
remember being dragged through court. It
was brutal.
numerous times over the years.
It
And
was
Child
brutal.
Protective
Why were you in
Services.
court as a child?
Because they, at whatever age it was at that point in time, like then they spoke to us
Oh, okay.
about what we wanted, and you know, for many years, I was pretty terrified of my dad until finally it got to one summer we would go visit my mom in the summer. And one summer I was finally like, I'm done. We're not going back. And actually Lance didn't want to speak to Child Protective Services had been called numerous times.
Oh, they were at my house all the time.
Why?
Debbie would call him, or Grandma Janie would call him, just about stupid shit. And there was never any.
Yeah, but hold on.
No, well,
Hold
again.
on. No, hold on.
Yeah.
Stupid shit. You were totally on drugs. That's not stupid.
No, this is way before the drugs.
Oh, this
No.
is, wait,
No,
but
I
you
was
still,
on
wait.
drugs then. I'm
They
not talking about the.
came
When?
numerous times.
I'm talking about when we lived in Monrovia.
But
No,
wait,
I'm talking about
I'm
later.
Really confused. I'm really confused.
So
with
am I
timeline
now.
then.
You talking about when we
In the
lived
desert,
in
when we
Victorville?
lived in the desert, they came. There were a handful of times that CPS came, and you somehow were able to like put it off, and there was never a case against you.
Because you're crafty.
Well,
Yeah.
there was
You
a
were a
lot.
crafty
Smart.
Before, when we were going through, that wasn't the custody battle I was talking about. The custody battle I was talking about was when they were babies.
But
No,
you
no,
guys
I
fought
was
all
too.
years, numerous
But then
years.
somehow we got on this. She brought up that the child services was sent to your house.
Oh, they were at my house when they were babies, too.
Yeah, I figured because they'd have to.
They were constantly at my house, and they got to the point to where they would come up the driveway, and here I have numerous club members
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And this one black guy gets out of the car, walks up my driveway,
Yeah.
and he's from CPS, and this is the last time he came to my house in Monrovia.
Right.
And she had burned herself on my panhead. I had upswept fishtails, and she would, every time she was a little kid, she would run out and jump on my bike.
Yeah.
That was it when I'd come home. Well, she had ran out, jumped on my bike, and she had 2 burn marks on her legs. Remember that?
Ow.
I do.
2 burn marks on her legs.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I didn't tell her to do it. Her ass ran right out and jumped on the motorcycle because she wanted to sit on the bike.
Yeah.
And burned herself.
Right.
Well, her mom and grandmother decided, we're going to screw her dad with this one because I supposedly held her on the bike.
Right.
So this black CPS dude comes walking up, and I told him, I said, look, dude, this is the last time this is going to happen. You can see who's around here.
Right.
You know, why are you here?
Right.
Oh, because we were told that you had purposely burned your daughter. I go, what? Burns on her leg. I go, Sammy, come here. She comes out, and I go, go stand next to my bike. She goes, walks over, stands next to the bike, and they're perfect.
Right.
To the pipes. And I go, how'd you get them? She probably doesn't remember. She goes, I climbed on the motorcycle, Dad, when you got home. Don't you remember? And I looked at this dude and I said, take off. Don't come back.
Right.
You come back, you're going to deal with all of us. And that was it, because it was a racial thing at that point.
Right.
I turned it into a racial thing.
You
at that
turned
point.
it into a
yeah, because
racial
you know here
because
I see CPS, and then I see this dude coming up the tracks, and at
Right.
that particular time in my life, I wasn't the nicest
Guy.
racist person in the world,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it was, I turned it into that, and he went back, and we never had him come to Monrovia again. Out in the desert, it's a whole different story. Because they wanted custody of them, so they would send CPS out, and there were some times that their food was limited.
So wait, there's times when their food was limited.
Yeah, the food was limited.
Why
You
was
know,
their food limited?
because none of us ate, so we would just.
Why did you not eat?
There
Because
were-
you were on.
Because we're on
tweaking?
drugs. So, you know, we'd go to the store, get food, and they'd make their own food, or Julie'd make food for them, or whatever, you know.
Right.
But I mean, and of course, Lance and it would always make it sound like it was worse than it really was, or maybe it was worse than it really was.
Maybe it
I just didn't
was.
notice it.
I think it was worse.
I
than
think it
think
might
it
have been
was.
worse. I
Right,
think it might
but
have been
anyway,
worse.
CPS would come out, and I would let them in the house. I never hid anything. I'd let them in the house. They'd see the house, and they would just say, "No, you're fine."
Right.
I don't know how the fuck they said no, you're fine though. literally.
I don't know how the fuck when I stop and think about it, because there's times that it was like, wow, you know.
That was like a piece of shit.
So
numerous
wait.
places.
How did you feel when child services was showing up?
I remember being scared, and at this point in time, I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it was that I was afraid of like the reaction that I was going to get from him if I said anything against him.
Right.
And,
So you were afraid you were going to get in trouble.
That's a fair thought.
I
Right.
mean,
Right.
you know, it's pretty frightening, like having police come to your house all the time and CPS come to your house and want to interview you. And, my great grandmother was coming up as often as she could. Lord knows she was probably 60, 70 at that point in time, in her 70s, driving up and taking us to go get clothes or taking us to go get food. She sent money to me, to my best friend's house, who was around the corner, like to hide things from us, to hide things from him. So they were supporting
his
us.
Grandmother.
This was Debbie's grandmother.
No,
This
Debbie's
was my mom's
okay.
grandmother.
Okay, got it.
And so they were supporting us in a lot of ways, like hidden from him so that he didn't know. But there was one final summer that I remember going to my mom's. And
so why? Why did you go to your mom's?
We went to visit her. Like we would, it would be 2 weeks of summer or whatever it was. And I don't remember at that point in time how many times CPS had come to our house. Mm-hmm. And we had said, no, everything's fine, because they interview you. Yeah. And they interview him and they interview us. But we went to my mom's and I said, that's it, I'm done.
Why were you done?
Go back.
What were you done with?
There was a lot of fighting in the house at that time.
It was bad.
Fighting with?
Between me and Julie.
Oh, okay.
There was a lot of fighting between he and Julie. There was a lot of he was just nasty. It was really scary.
I think I was coming down I think that was part of the one of the times that I quit. So I was just a dick.
Would you say you were like a rager? Were you rageful, or were you just really moody?
Sometimes not. I mean, sometimes I would just, why the fuck you wake me up over stupid shit?
In the middle of the day.
Okay. So then what was the purpose of that? Did it make you feel, were you just like, I just don't have patience, or were you?
Yeah, no patience. None.
No patience at all. So it was like was it like you were like a raw nerve a little bit, where everything bothered you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And there's
a mouse
like
could fart
kids.
and I would
Yeah, like you're just raw,
yeah,
right?
I was just like, what the fuck,
Right.
I'm sleeping. You guys can't keep quiet.
Now,
But we can't talk.
Right.
We're kids. We're
Right,
kids. We're talking about.
No, it was bad.
But
we're
how did that
kids and
make
we
you
can't
feel?
talk.
How did that make you feel? When you would wake him up and he'd go, "What the fuck do you want?" How would that make you feel?
Terrified.
But more than terrified. What did that make you feel?
Well, he was always choosing something over us. That's how it made me feel.
Right.
We were not important, and
right.
Everything else but us were important, which was why the memory of the shotgun in the house, the shooting in the house, was so stood out so much, because
that was a nightmare. I bet.
He was choosing somebody else.
A 9mm.
Oh, a 9mm.
Yeah, that was
and
not
a fucking
night.
nightmare. But he was choosing Julie over us.
Yeah.
Here, Lance and I are, however old we are, sitting in the house with him, and he's like, "I love you guys. I'm going," he went back into the bedroom and shut the door and, shot off the gun, and and we are freaking out because we don't know what's going on, and he comes running out of the house. And so it was always, it was terrible because he always chose something else over us.
Right.
So it finally got to the point where we went to my mom's. I was probably 13 or 14. Lance didn't want to talk.
No, you were 15. Lance was 14. Because he went to Janie's house after that.
Yeah, Lance didn't want to talk. He was pretty scared. And I said, we're not going back. And my mom said, "Are you sure? Because I'm not going to call Child Protective Services if you guys aren't going to speak."
Right.
I can't do it again.
Actually, they didn't come out either.
They came to us.
They came to them, not to me. They didn't come out.
They came to us, and then we
what
never
they
went
did do
back.
is they did call me, and I said, "You know what? She's 15 years old. He's 14 years old. They want to go live with their mom. They've been with me all their fucking lives. You fucking deal with teenagers." Because that's, in my mind, not the drugs, but in my mind, I'm dealing with a fucking teenager.
Right.
She's 15 years old with hormones.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, I just found out she'd lost her virginity at that point. So I was not, and I found out how many months later?
I don't even know.
But it was enough to where
That was
I was
like a minor blip in the.
Yeah, I was like,
minor blip in the radar of our life.
I'm all like, really? Who?
Because I'm like, really? You're on drugs.
Yeah.
This is what you're concerned with?
Right.
Look at everything else. We have people, you're burying shit in random places.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. No, and well,
paranoid. You see sheriff cars on rocks.
When we lived on one, this is how protective I was of that particular part of my daughter, that you weren't going to fuck with her. There was a kid next door to us, my buddy Kenny's nephew, I guess, David.
Yeah.
They kind of liked each other, but they kind of didn't. I used to have a Bowie knife, and I still do, matter of fact, about that long.
Yeah.
So we're all standing on the front porch, and I pull out this Bowie knife. And I looked at David and I go, let me put something straight here. You see this? If you get near that, and I'm pointing at her between her legs, you get near that, I'm going to cut this off.
Oh my God.
Do you understand me? Because you're not playing with that.
Right.
Or you will not have this.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah.
Well, how'd that make you feel?
I mean, terrible. Nobody would come near me.
No. Her boyfriend, her boyfriend would come to the house.
And in hindsight, you know what? In hindsight, thank God, because as an adult now, you realize the things that you're searching for when you don't have them. So, like,
yeah,
you don't have a dad who's a dad.
Yeah.
You're searching for attention from somewhere else.
Totally.
So,
yeah. That you're probably right.
In hindsight, looking at that.
A boyfriend come to the house one day, take her to the movies or do whatever. Uncle Kenny opens the door.
Who's Uncle Kenny?
Just a neighbor.
Just a neighbor, but he's still, to this day, one of my best friends.
A good friend, yeah.
Opens the door with a shotgun in his hand. What do you want? I'm here for Samantha. Blam! No, you're not.
Oh boy,
Dad.
So now, when you finally got sober, did you go to rehab, or did you just start going to meetings, or you just went, I'm done?
I've been to 4 meetings in my life.
Okay.
And all 4 of them were shit.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I can't say that. The 2 of them were at Pomona when I lived out here. So 2 of them were in Pomona, and they were okay only because they were the guy that I call my little brother's partners. They were his meetings.
Right.
But they were too far away. I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
The 2 meetings that I went to out here, one, about 4 guys come up to me later and said, hey, you want to go get high?
In Northridge.
In Northridge.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him going, why are you here?
Right.
Oh, because court told us to be here. Well, I'm not. So get the fuck away from me.
Yeah, that's not
And then
good.
another one I went to, they found out that I was a drug cook, because, you tell them up there, they found out I was a drug cook. I don't know if that was the reason, or somebody there that knew me from back and when.
Yep.
So I had these other guys come up to me going, hey, dude, we can make a lot of money with you. And I'm looking at them going, how much money did you make last year? Well, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000. I said, dude, I make that in fucking 2 hours. Get the fuck away from me. Why would I ever consider getting in bed with dumbasses like you?
Right.
I'm here to quit. So
Right.
I stopped on my own.
You
I
did.
did everything on my own.
Was it hard?
At first, yeah, because I liked it.
Yeah.
Again, I liked it. But then it got to the point, like I said, the weed got to the point to where I was doing okay with that. And the speed was no fun anymore anyway. It was, because I wasn't doing nothing towards the end. I'd spend $40 because I knew this girl that would bring me dope. I'd spend, I don't know, $20, $30, and she'd give me $60 or $80 worth of dope.
Yeah.
And I'd do it, and I'd just lay around watching TV and for days, and I wouldn't do anything.
Right.
So it got to be not productive. I guess is what I'd
Purposeless.
say. Yes, or I'd go hang out at friend's house and whatever. We'd fuck with the computers and stuff like this for days, but I wasn't getting anywhere.
Right.
I wasn't making any money.
Right.
I wasn't geting anywhere. So
You got tired of it.
I was
Sounds
just
like you
done.
got tired of it.
I was just done. At one point, I was hanging out in Agora. And, I would go get some dope from somebody out in Upland or whatever, and I'd go out to Agora and I'd hang out with some friends, and they would pick up, it wouldn't cost me nothing because they would pick up a bunch of it from me or whatever.
Yeah.
So it basically paid for itself. I got my own eye.
Right.
And then I realized there was a kid involved that turned out to be a celebrity's son.
Oh.
And, I didn't know this at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I'd come up there, he would come and get high and whatever. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until he got busted one day.
Ooh.
And then when he got popped, and then I seen him again, he came over to the house. I go, dude, your mom was a legend.
Right.
I'm not giving you shit.
Right.
Here I am, friggin', and I mean, she's one of the people you've seen on your wall when you're a kid,
Yeah.
and I idolized that particular person and whatever. And this kid to this day is still fucked up.
Really?
But I quit. And that's, I just got tired of it. I seen the outcome all the way around. Our cousin Jeff went to jail, or Jason went to jail because of dope and some other stupid shit that he did, and a bunch of other friends of mine went to jail. Because I came out here to quit doing dope.
You came out where to quit doing dope?
I came out from Azusa and all that to stay at, ready for this, Grandma Janie's house.
My great-grandmother's house.
The one that hated me with a passion.
My mom's grandma.
Really?
Oh, yeah. That's where I ended up. We, over the last years of her life, became best friends.
That's crazy.
Way crazy.
How did that happen? Did you just call her and go, I need a place?
Lance called me and said, or told me that they wanted me to come out. I was living, at that time, I just had one dog. I had my dog, Bear.
Yeah.
And I was living in a camper.
Yeah.
Different parking lots, whatever. And I was doing okay. I was having fun, doing whatever.
And you were sober?
No,
okay.
by far not sober.
Got it.
So he wanted me to come out and stay, so I did. I came out and stayed, and I think the first few days I was sleeping, and then cousin came over and got me high, and then I started doing other shit around the house and whatever, and then we ended up taking my camper off the truck and putting it in the backyard, so I had a backyard place for a while.
Yeah.
And I was building computers and stuff like that. I was trying to get sober.
Yeah.
So I didn't necessarily have drugs at that house.
Yeah.
But I would take off for a couple of days and then come back.
Right.
High.
Right.
Well, one day me and Lance got into it pretty hard because I came back from a friend's house and I was not high. I had dope, but I was not high.
Right.
Matter of fact, I was over at her house and I stayed there with her and her husband for a few days, and I was sleeping. So when I was coming back, I was sober, awake, and Lance and I got into it because he swore I was high. Swore. Yeah, tried to get in my face about it. I go, dude, I'm telling you, you need to back up.
You can't blame him.
I know, I can't.
Yeah,
but,
right?
No, but I was not. And I said, I'm telling you, I promise you, I'm not high. Mm-hmm. You want me to piss in a cup? Whatever. And he finally pissed me off enough till I went in my camper and I got high. And I came back, got in his face, put him against the wall and said, now I'm high, motherfucker. I wasn't before, but now I am. And that's when I decided, you know what? I can't do this shit no more.
Right.
So that's when I started with the weed. And then I spent about 7-8 months with that. And I got my driver's license back. What do you want to call it, where it's kind of coincidental because the lady that helped me get my driver's license back was a dope fiend, but she was really good at working the system.
Yeah.
So she helped me by taking me to court and doing all this other crap.
Right.
And got my license back. And I was looking on Sheila, that lady friend of mine that's like my mom. She had given me a phone because I'd set up her network once a month. I'd go to her house and fix her computers and do whatever. And I was looking online and I found a tow truck driver, which I've done since I was 18.
Yeah.
And I went down, I rode my bicycle down to his shop, stoned, no less.
Right.
Walked in for an interview, told him I was stoned, told him this is the experience I have, and haven't smoked weed since. And I've been working for him for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
He hired me, yep.
And
I told him, I said, you need to give me 30 days to get clean. He gave me 28, and I came back dirty.
You did?
Yep. And I told him, I said, I told you 30 days. It takes 30 days to get out. So he swept that under the table and said, okay, and I promised him I'd never do it again, and I haven't done it since.
You haven't?
And it's been almost 10 years.
Wow. So you were just done?
I'm just done, yeah.
Do you think that other addicts have to get to the place where they're just done?
It's the only way to quit.
Right. I think it may be
like they
the
say,
only way to
rehab's
quit.
for quitters.
Rehab's for quitters.
Rehab's for quitters. But the problem is, if you don't want to quit, going to a rehab's stupid. It's a waste of time.
Waste of money.
Well,
Yep.
and
time.
Billy, and you were having a grandkid. You had a grandkid?
Yeah, Billy was a part of it because she told me that, if I wanted to spend time with the kids,
Have to be sober.
I had to sober up. So I was never high when I was around. Whenever the kids were around, I was never high.
Right.
Ever.
But I have to say, living with someone who drinks a lot, when he has extended periods when he's sober, like Sober October, he is, after the first little bit where he kind of gets everything out of his system, he's so much more even.
Yeah.
His moods are even and they're more predictable. And for a child, that's a big deal. Kids are so sensitive that I think they feel things they can't even put into words. Like they don't even understand it, but they know that's not safe or that's safe. They just know safety, not safety.
Right.
And I know when Bert asked them this Sober October, he was like, so do you like me better when I'm sober? And both kids immediately said, yes. And he went, why? And Isla said, because you're not as angry. And Bert was like, I'm never angry. And she went, yeah, you're not like walking around angry, but you get angry easier. And he went, really? And then after they left, he said, am I really like that? And I went, yeah, you just have a shorter
fuse.
You have less patience. You have less clarity. You have less tolerance. It's just everything is just kind of compromised because your body is processing this other shit out that in some way regulates your emotions, right? Drugs regulate your emotion.
It does.
It hides your pain. You escape from stress, from
It's a
pain,
big
from
escape.
whatever. All escape, and it's so self-indulgent and so destructive for yourself, right? Because the thing you're escaping from is still there when you get sober.
Right.
So you have to deal with that thing that you're escaping from. You know, I don't know if you know this about me, but when I was younger, I really probably did have a drinking problem. My sorority actually called me in and told me I needed to go to rehab. I lost my hair. It was all from booze. I never did any drugs. I drank like 6 days a week. My 21st birthday, I drank a fifth of vodka by myself, and I was 100 pounds. I just shouldn't have been doing that. I was really medicating all this pain from my childhood, and finally I started losing my hair, and went to the doctor, and my liver was enlarged, and I told some lie to my mother that I just eat tortilla chips and salsa for lunch every day, and my mother's so stupid, she was like, oh, you gotta start eating better. And I'm like, I'm freaking drinking so much. And so when I finally said, and I had DUI, I was arrested for DUI. I almost got arrested once for vandalism because I got angry one night and started throwing rocks at a house and busted all the windows in their house when the people were home.
Oh my God.
I just was a real angry.
Been there, done that.
No, well, I mean, so I understand. But at a certain point, something happened for me too, like your deputy that was like, you need to check yourself, boy. I had that moment too, where I went, what am I doing? Like, I don't even really want to be this person. So I stopped drinking, also just stopped cold turkey, but I understood that I was drinking to medicate myself. I wasn't drinking. I like to party too. I liked a good time too. I grew up in a house where there was always a party. With my dad's house, nobody was an addict, but they believed in having a good time. So there was always a camping trip. We're going to tractor pull. We're having fun all the time. So once I figured out that the booze was about medicating myself, I thought, well, the only way to fix that is to fix what's causing the pain. So if I can fix what's causing the pain, then I won't need to medicate the pain. So that's when I started going to therapy. I went to therapy and I was like, I got all kind of fucked up shit in my past. That is why I'm drinking. So can you help me figure out how to deal with all of that? And he did. And so I drink now, and I get drunk. I got drunk on Halloween. Yeah. But I drink maybe 3 days a month. I mean, in college, I was an alcoholic, I think. But I don't think I was an addict alcoholic. I was a broken person that used alcohol to cope. And I wonder, it doesn't sound like you were that. It sounded like you had a good time and partied and wanted that to continue.
It was fun. That's exactly what I wanted to do.
But you did say you would get depressed, and then the dope would make that go away. So now that you clean...
That was towards the end that I would get depressed and the dope would make that go away.
So then
after I lost everybody and, the kids were gone.
Right.
The wife was gone. I'm going from house to house, which sounds like a lot of fun.
Not so much for years on end. Right?
I mean, I had a lot of friends that were girls and whatever, but they weren't the same. And I wasn't out sleeping with a bunch of girls. It was just friends that were,
right.
Girls that were friends or whatever. And it just got to the point, and alcohol. I drank Jack Daniels with speed, and Frankie and I would get on our bikes and ride,
which is super responsible.
So responsible.
But get this, we went to a bar one time.
Yeah.
Some girl that he wanted to date was a bartender at a cop bar. So we ride up there on our Harleys.
Boy.
She cut us off at 14 double shots of Jack Daniels.
Oh my God.
Each.
So you just have that little addict thing.
What it was we did a bunch of speed, like a 16th of dope each.
Right.
Between that time, we got on the bikes and we take off, and I get pulled over.
Oh boy.
Well, I get pulled over by a friend that's a cop because my tire's bald on the back of my bike.
Oh.
I mean, bald so bad you can see the tread.
Right.
And he turns around and he tells me, he goes, I'm going to give you a ticket for your tire because you need to go put one on there. You take your drunk ass home. Because he knew the speed would counteract the alcohol.
Yeah.
So even though I was drunk, I can, just like
really
we're
drunk.
talking right now,
Yeah.
I can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, to go back to that, I quit drinking 20-something years ago.
Right.
It just wasn't fun. I guess it was, 4 years ago? I went to Vegas with some friends, and I told them, I said, I'll take a shot with you just for the hell of it. Well, I ended up not doing it in Vegas. I did it in Victorville. Mm-hmm. So the lady comes over, and, first they asked me if I want to take a shot. So I go, well, how much is a shot? And they said $7. I go, fuck that. I'll go buy a bottle and go sit at the motel and get drunk.
Right.
Because for $7, you get a little pint.
Yeah.
I haven't drank in 20 years. That pint will get me fucked up. Right. So one of my friends said, I'll pay for it. So they set it on the table. Stick my finger in it, taste it. Yep, it's Jack Daniels. I take it, drink it, and I set it down, and everybody at the table gets quiet, and they're staring at me. Well, like, what the fuck are you looking at? Do you want more? How do you feel? And I go, well, I feel like I need to eat, so where's my food? And I need some water because iced tea and Jack Daniels don't mix.
Right.
And I haven't drank since.
How interesting.
What I learned was without the speed, the meth, alcohol is no fun.
I see.
When you put both of them together, hell yeah, we're riding.
Right.
Having a good old time out there in the snow. I mean, there was nights I'd go home at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'd walk out and there's snow on the ground, and I'm riding my motorcycle in the snow.
So then let me ask you this. After you got sober, did you have any of that like emotional stuff happen? Any depression? Any heaviness?
Yeah, I was depressed a lot because I didn't have anything to do, and I didn't have the want to go do anything.
Yeah.
I stopped working on computers. I pretty much stopped doing all that shit.
Right.
Because my ambition went out the window with the dope.
Well, I wonder if you were exhausted.
Oh,
if your physical being
I was
just shot.
You
just needed to restore yourself.
I was physically shot. I had some medical issues that were, I had hepatitis C at the particular point. My liver was enlarged.
Yeah, well, that's what was going on. Your body was just done.
I went and had, when I was still under Julie's insurance, I went and had blood work done, and I had 2 full blood panels ran at the same time. Mm-hmm. I said, I want you to run it twice. I want you to check for everything. And I don't care if it's a tick. I want you to check for everything.
Right.
And like I said, the only thing that came back positive was Hep C.
Right.
Everything else came out negative.
Right.
So it took me years to fight that, but I finally got on the Harvani and got that cured.
Right.
I've had kidney cancer since then. Mm-hmm. I had that. As a matter of fact, another 15 days and I'll be in surgery, or I would have been. It's almost a year.
Wait, what do you mean?
November 17th last year.
Oh, you were in surgery.
I was in surgery. So
got it.
November 17th coming up will be a year
1 year
since I was in surgery.
And that's all done. Good, right?
Yeah. Well, as far as I know, I have to go get back and get another scan.
Yeah, check up.
I've had 2 heart attacks.
You've had 2 heart attacks?
Yeah, I had 2 heart attacks due to I'm AFib. I'm assuming the speed was probably related to it. Part of the reason that my doctor told me this too, he says part of the reason why my body is so physically healthy as far as that is because of all the speed that I did, because of all the drugs that I did, which I thought was fucking stupid because I'm like going, how can this
counterproductive?
Yeah, how can this be good for you if you knew the material that go into be making this shit?
Right. I'd never heard that about meth. I actually had heard that about heroin. That heroin kind of embalms you, sort of. You kind of stay the same until you get clean, and then everything kind of crashes.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay. Yes and no. I've never done heroin. I've done everything but.
Yeah.
Literally, because when I was 16, I was acid. Timothy Leary and me were best friends.
Yeah.
Or just his product anyway.
Right.
But I tried all that kind of crap, but I never tried heroin.
Have you ever done drugs, Sam?
I did acid once in my life. It was terrible, and
It wasn't good acid.
Have thanks to my brother, and I have.
It wasn't good.
I've smoked pot, and that's it.
Any of your siblings have any drug or alcohol problems?
My brother did. One of my
did.
brothers.
He did.
When he was young.
Yeah. But not anymore?
Yeah, well,
He has a tendency of drinking a little too much once in a while. And
I think there's some addictive personalities. Some
Yeah,
addictive
quite a bit.
traits. Probably, maybe a little bit for...
Who do you think of your siblings was most affected by your
Lance,
childhood? Lance?
Hands down.
Why do you think, and how was he affected?
because he's just like me.
I think it's really hard for a boy to not have their dad.
Yeah, I think it is really hard for boys.
Or and the only attention to get is
Negative.
So he just, like, that was the only time he got attention was if he fucked up or did something bad. So,
that's what
I'm
you
just
do.
going to keep doing it because that's
right.
when I get attention. So,
That's what love means to him then.
right.
I know it's amazing how you're wired to think that's what love means from the way you're treated. Even if you're loved, if you're treated a certain way, then that's, I talked about that before too, where my mom loved me, but I know that absolutely. She loved me as much as she possibly could have, but she was not well in the head.
Right.
So the way she treated me made me think I wasn't worth loving, because the way she treated me told me that you're not worth this. But I'll love you, but you're really not worth it. So then I found myself in a relationship with a girlfriend, actually, a girl that was so similar to my mom. And I kept going, I don't understand why I'm in this relationship. I don't understand why I have sought out and decided to be best friends with someone who is identical to my mom. And my therapist said, because that's what you think love is. And until you figure out love is something different, you'll keep doing that over and over again. So it's amazing what that tells you, how you're treated tells you how you're valued, I guess, or something.
With Lance and I, even though we butt heads a lot, I'm the person that if he's got a problem, or if there's people that are fucking with him or whatever, I'm the person he calls.
Right.
I'm the person that can handle that,
Right.
because he knows that side of me
Is really strong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Samantha one time, and this had to do with Lance too. One of her boyfriends, or one guy that she was going out with, comes to the house, knocks on the door, I open the door, and he's bloody.
Oh.
So I go, what the happened to you? And he goes, I got jumped by a bunch of black guys, and they're supposed to kill Lance.
Why were they supposed to kill Lance?
Some kind of shit he was into at school. I don't know.
Okay.
Something. So I told Samantha, get over here and take care of him. Get him cleaned up. And I told my partner, Kenny, grab your shit. We're going hunting. And I literally...
You said we're going hunting.
Yeah, we're going
Oh,
hunting.
my God.
We're going hunting. Because they're
Sorry, listeners. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Well, no, the reason being is because they were supposed to go to school to kill my kid.
Right. That's not...
Okay,
that's
so we're going hunting. We're going to go find these people and deal with it. Because this is my family we're talking about. I told Samantha, get him cleaned up. And this kid told me, he goes, I want to go with you. And I go, you're going to show me who they are. And then we took him home and dropped him off. Did not tell his parents.
Yeah.
We just dropped him off and told him, you need to deal with your kid.
Right.
They'll tell you what's going on.
Right.
And we went to go hunting. And a friend of mine who happened to be black.
We went to go find them.
Okay, yeah. Well, let's rephrase that. We went to go find them.
I think
to,
that's better.
Today's
agents.
Yes.
We went to go
maybe a
find
better way
them
to say
to
that.
discuss what
Yes.
their intentions were.
Diplomatically, without weapons.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Well, actually, it worked out that way because when we took the kid with us, we didn't take any weapons.
Yeah.
It was just Kenny and I.
Yeah.
And we went to go find the kids or whatever. And then we went back to the house once we found out who they were, because they were a particular gang. And when we were walking out to go, another friend of mine pulls up who happened to be black, and he was retired from a particular gang.
Yeah.
He goes, you go back in the house and stay here. I just got wind of this shit. I'm going to go handle it. And he took off and handled it. So as far as being protective is concerned, don't fuck with my kids, because I will hurt somebody.
Hunt you.
Yeah.
I will hunt you.
down.
Physically.
And race doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You will just
No.
be hunted.
No, it doesn't matter.
No,
No,
I always want because I don't think it does actually matter.
No, it
to
doesn't,
you.
'cause like I said,
but
my
the way that
buddy-
you express that, people listening
Yes.
might think
Yeah,
that
no. It had
does
nothing to
matter.
do with race.
Yes,
It was
they just
a
happen
gang
to be black.
thing
Yeah.
that happened to be black.
Yeah,
that's what. So I want to. Yeah, let's make that right.
Let's make that clear.
Yes, let's
because
make that
I don't
correct.
think that you mean to sound like a racist person.
No.
Came
It
out
had nothing to do with
weird.
that. As a matter of fact, my son-in-law is black, and I have 3 half-black grandkids. So let's get the racist thing right off the table.
Good.
40 years ago?
Because I don't want anybody
That's a different story.
Well, yeah, but
Today,
that's
no.
a different story for everybody in your generation.
Right.
So that's not.
Right.
That's
so
kind
let's make sure you understand that.
We can't rewind and fix the 70s because that's the 70s are what they were. But now I don't want anybody coming away from this podcast thinking that you are some raging racist person, because I know that you are not.
It's just my family. When even back then when I was on drugs, if you threatened to hurt my family in any way, shape, or form, you're getting the wrath of us.
And whatever that wrath may be.
It doesn't matter
whatever's
what it is.
most threatening to you.
Yes.
That was my impression of when you were talking about the black guy from the child services coming up and you went, now it's a race thing.
Right.
It's because that is the card you could play with him that meant the most.
That's the
to
only
him.
way to get him to go back to his people and say, this man...
to child protective
his
services.
people being child protective services, not black people.
Okay, let's rephrase that.
Dad,
I'm good at wording this stuff.
No, I know you're not, because my dad's not good at wording this stuff either, and he has conversations with people out here, and I go, let me just interpret.
Yeah.
Listen, one of my dad's closest friends is a black guy named Shane. I've loved Shane, know him my whole life. We are not racist people, but the way he just phrased that sentence makes him sound really racist, and he's really not.
Well, so I have another friend, Earl, black as the ace of spades. I've been friends with him since high school. Get this, for 30. No, I want this to be a good point.
I know, but
for 30 years, he had one of my guns still in my name that I just got back. So how racist can I possibly be if I gave this particular man one of my weapons still in my name? And trusted him with it for 30 years.
No. See, I know that you're not racist. I want everybody listening to not go, I can't believe he just said that about that black guy.
I'm sorry,
and
people, for saying that, because you know what? I have not good with words.
You are a very loving person. Like you have a lot of love in your heart. So that manifests itself when your family is threatened or perceived to be threatened, as like a lion has shown up now and will dismember whomever, equal opportunity, whomever is coming at you. So you speak with passion, and I think that is the point, is that you're speaking with passion, not with judgment or just with passion. And if the rest of the world would take a minute to understand that about half the people in the United States, we would not have half the tensions we have now.
I agree.
Because everybody thinks if you say the word black instead of African American, you're all of a sudden racist, and that's not true. If you listen to the intention and what people are, you just have to listen better. People have stopped listening. I think they just hear, which is different than listening. And
they hear what they want to hear.
They hear what they want to hear, but they also hear to be inflamed.
Right.
Instead of hearing to understand, which are two different things. You know, the first time I took Bert home, my grandfather said the N-word, and I warned him, and I was like, listen, Pop is 80. He ran a sawmill, and all his employees were black. There's black people have been in my life my whole life. He's not racist. The N-word for him is an adjective. It's like saying black. Today, I don't even know that I could have that conversation and have someone really know what I mean.
No, they won't.
He's one of the most loving grandfathers. He was a community person. He gave to all different people in his community. But for him, that word was more an adjective than a derogatory term. And that's not accepted. And I don't think it should be accepted. I mean, we are at the place now where we go, all right, that word should be dead for, I don't think anybody needs to use that word. It shouldn't be used. But my point in saying that is, I didn't want Bert to meet my grandfather and make a judgment about him for using one word that from his vernacular was not a negative word per se. It could be used in a negative context. But if he says, this guy that used to work for me in the sawmill, and he tells this whole story about a sawmill, and he describes the man instead of saying black, he would say that word. Right. And then I go, well, you have to understand where he's coming from, but nobody does that anymore. They just hear that word and they don't, or not just that. Maybe that's a bad example in today's day and age, but if you hear the word gay even and think there's no derogative coming from my 84-year-old grandmother calls somebody gay, it's because that's the term she knows for homosexual.
Right.
And she's not being mean. She's being...
That's just what she knows. She grew up with.
Listen instead of hearing what she says. And I don't want anybody to not hear what you like to listen to what you're saying and not just hear you say, "Oh, this black guy showed up my driveway and I showed him his, oh, now it's on." That's not what you're saying. What you're saying, and I hope people are listening, is that I will do anything to protect my family.
That's it.
And if it means pulling the race card, I'll pull it. But I'm going to do whatever I need to do to protect my family. And I think that is something, that's what you meant.
Right. Well, with the,
That's what you were saying.
with the CBS guy, it was more of a, I can use that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I can scare him
what I
enough
mean.
to where he will.
That's exactly
where
what I
he
mean.
will go back and tell his people, no, I'm not going to go back to see this dude.
Not going back
he's
there.
got 5 or 6 white guys there, and they don't like black people. Just
Right.
leave it at that. And it's like, so he went back, and I've never seen him since.
Right.
So that ended the
So it was
problem.
effective.
So again, yes, I used what I could.
Exactly.
None of the other guys that were standing around were threatening him.
No, right.
And I
Right.
mean, they were all standing there. I'm the one who walked down halfway down the driveway and met him and explained to him in no certain terms,
Right.
this is what we're dealing with. So,
Because after talking to you for 2 hours now,
Oh, sorry.
you are why? No, I'm saying I've learned how incredibly resourceful and creative in problem solving and really crafty, and addicts are kings at finding workarounds and justifications for what they do. I think they actually are lawyers trapped in some other state of being, because if you are arguing a point, you can find a way to win that point. You'll win that point. And if you want that guy off your property, you'll get him off your property.
one way or another, yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
the
have to be
means,
violent.
it doesn't matter.
No.
I think that's a very typical addict behavior.
I use, because I like to give back. This intentionally, what I want to do is be able to talk to people and give back. If I could tell them my story and let them know.
Yeah.
Because I had, like I said, when I was a kid, I had the world by the balls. I had more money than I needed to worry about. I was on the top of the world. And then I get involved in dope.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something about dope. Here's the big thing.
Yeah.
It is fun as hell until it goes bad.
Right.
When shit goes bad, it goes bad, really bad,
Right.
all the way to the ground,
Right.
to where some people can't even get up.
Right.
So, for people that are listening out there, if you're, I'm not telling you to do it. If you're stupid enough to get involved, no matter how let's not phrase it stupid enough. If you're unfortunate enough to get involved in it, know this. Sure, it's fun and games when you first start, but sooner or later, that shit's going to switch on you. And when it does, you're going to end up at the bottom of that road, at the bottom of that ladder, trying to crawl your way out.
You always got to pay the piper, don't you?
That's it. You can have all the fun in the world.
At every cost.
Everywhere. But it's going to cost you.
What did it cost you?
It cost me my family, number one, my health, number 2, and almost my life a couple of times. So now I'm fighting.
Must have been a lot of fun.
Like I said, I had a blast.
It was real fun for me.
I had a blast
It was real fun for you.
when I did it. I had a blast myself. Everybody around me suffered
Right.
for my.
And how do you
blast.
feel about that? Do you have any feelings about that?
I'm sorry that I put everybody through what I did for being the person that I was. As far as that, again, I can't say I have regrets because it made me the person I am today.
You don't
Right.
regret fucking up my life?
Right.
Oh, I've always regretted. No,
fuck up your life.
I actually do
I'm
regret.
just kidding, Dad.
I
I'm
actually
just
do have
kidding.
some regrets. I do regret that my kids had to go through that shit for my own selfish purposes.
Right.
So that I do have regrets to.
Right.
I'm
right.
just-
Now, no, because there's a bad side to this too. I'm glad on one hand because being the dick that I was and as mean as I was has made the person that you are today, which is tough, and good and fair. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You know, because if I would have been not as hard on her and the rest of the kids, then who knows what they would have turned out like.
You may be right about that.
I mean, I'm not saying it was a good thing.
No,
by
I understand.
all means, I'm not justifying
glass half
any
full.
of that.
If you're going to look at it,
Yes.
what's the glass half full?
Right. The bottom
might
half of
be.
that glass is look at her today.
Right,
look
right.
at the rest of my kids today. Sure, they all have struggles of life.
Everybody does.
Right. But I tell you what, my girls, I never had to really worry about boys because I was more scared for the boys than the girls because they're tough. Mm-hmm. The boys can handle themselves.
Yeah.
My youngest one, Shane, who only has one kid, he's like, if you just met him, so you know, he's me.
He's a great guy.
He's me.
He's really sweet.
I mean, he will at the drop of the hat protect his family. But he was also raised next to me.
Yeah.
By adults.
Yeah.
That's not always a good thing.
Oh.
Because he's raising his daughter the same way. And, I mean, that's good because she's very streetwise, smart.
Right.
But I think the childhood part of it, like I took away some of her childhood by making her babysit.
Right.
Okay. I was hard on Lance, so I took away his childhood.
Right.
By being such a dick.
Right.
Same with Brittany. Brittany and I had a blowout when she was younger, and we didn't see each other for 5 years.
And she had her mom.
Yeah, she had her mom though. She had her mom and stepfather.
She had a solid parent.
She did real well as far as that's concerned.
Right.
Shane was and still is always been with me.
Right.
Even though Julie and I, when we split up, I didn't see them for a year and a half or so. Once we did get to where we were cordial with each other, then he came and stayed with me most of the time and stuff like that, which wasn't always good. He always knew I was high.
Right.
But he just tolerated it.
Right.
Now, to this day, he won't touch it.
Right. Well, that's good.
Yeah, he won't touch it.
My dad always said before he and my mom got divorced, my dad was a good dad, but he wasn't connected. He said that the best thing that happened for my relationship with my dad was their divorce. That woke him up to how he was as a parent, and it forced him to really plug in, because of the times that he had me 3 months in the summer and every other weekend he had to be the parent, where he would just let my mom do it all, and he'd show up for dinner and we'd watch TV together and my mom did everything where I was concerned. And he believes to this day that's why he became such a good dad, was because of that bad thing that happened. Well, today you're a really good dad for Sam. You're a really good grandfather for her kids, and I'm sure the rest of the kids. Not that you would want to have, gone through everything you've gone through, but maybe that's part of the glass half full too, is that you wouldn't be able to be as good a dad now if you had been sober the whole time, and maybe you wouldn't have realized what you'd lost. When you say I lost my whole family, I almost lost my life, that gives you some perspective on value, on what they mean. They mean more to you maybe than if you hadn't gone through all that. I wonder.
Yeah, you're right.
I wonder.
Because I'm going to be 60 years old this December, and who knows how many years I have left.
Shut up.
Hopefully at least 25.
No, but it's true. Because,
if
look at it.
If you continue eating the way that you do,
no, it's not just that, but look at...
But you've lost weight, you look
he
good.
Has lost a lot of weight.
Look at the grandparents that lived to be, like my nanny, the one that she was talking about, the ones that raised me,
Yeah.
she was 103 when she died.
Well, you never know.
Grandma
You didn't
Janie,
embalm yourself for 25 years.
Janie was 90...
She was 97.
97 when she died.
But
and
is that
they ate what they want.
No.
They did what they want. There was none
They
of
did
that.
meth?
They did.
It was different. No, they didn't do meth.
No, but they did alcohol.
Yeah.
Janie wasn't.
Yeah,
every now and then. But no,
apples and oranges.
The meth
Maybe.
might have embalmed a little bit in me, or made my body the tough part of it, But no, I don't know. I'm just saying. So,
I think the best thing to ever happen to you is Billy.
Yeah, that was the start of
In
this
many
whole
ways.
thing. Billy was the start of this whole thing. Billy was the start.
You're welcome, Brittany, Shane, and Lance.
The beginning. Billy was the start of the beginning of my
catalyst.
sober.
He was the catalyst.
My,
He was the
my
catalyst.
getting clean
Right.
adventure.
He was the
Again, it took a very long time to get there.
Right.
You know,
But you got there.
I got
You
there,
did.
and now I'm looking. Like again, I'm looking at 10 years, and you know, people ask me, "Do you think you'll ever relapse?" I've been around it.
Right.
I've stopped at friends' house
don't
and
think you'll
and they're
relapse.
doing lines or doing whatever. A matter of fact, a girlfriend of mine that works at a restaurant I eat at, her boyfriend just got busted, and she came to me and she goes, "I don't know what to do with this shit." So I go, let me turn that off. Sorry. So I go, "What do you have?" So we went out to the car. She opens this glass case up, and there's 2 loaded syringes.
Oh boy.
So I picked it up, took the cap off, squirted it in the ground, broke the tip off, threw it in a bag. Took the second one, did it again, broke it, threw it in a bag. 10 years ago, I probably would have taken them home.
Right.
So I knew. She goes, "Are you okay with that?" And I go, "Where's the dope? You found the loaded ones. Where's the dope?" She goes, "Well, I gave that to a friend of mine." I go, "All right, cool." So I said, "Now there's no more around, right?"
Right.
She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Are you all right with that?" I said, "Yeah, actually," because, you know, she started thinking about it. There was no hesitation.
Right.
There was no second thought.
Right.
It was immediate. I grabbed it, squirted it, broke it, threw it away.
You have too much to lose now.
Just that fast,
Yeah.
I went through it. So that told me, in my own mind, that these last 10 years,
You're strong,
done.
right?
I'm done.
You should be a wrangler. You know what a wrangler is?
Huh.
A wrangler is someone who travels with an addict, like a musician, and keeps them clean.
I would love to do
We
that.
had a friend who was a wrangler. He had a big old Neapolitan Mastiff. He used to walk the Mastiff in the neighborhood. And he was always either leaving for or coming back from some tour of some musician that
That's
he
crazy.
kept sober. That's his whole job. But he was like an AA guy, but not AA, like go to meetings. He kept that person on their AA track.
Right.
and would find dope and get rid of it and put them in the car but when there was temptation and keep the girls out of the room or whatever. It's called a wrangler.
I would
That's
love to
what
do
he
that.
did. That's his whole job. And I think he kept a lot of people sober because he's like the addict's own bodyguard against
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
To keep them
Well,
straight.
yeah, an addict, you are your worst enemy.
Of course.
You know, it wasn't the meth that was my enemy. It was
yeah, it
me
was you.
doing
Yeah.
the meth.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, because it was it was my loved drug, I guess you
Right.
would say. You know, back in the day when I was 16, acid was it.
Right.
I took acid, 3 hits of acid a day for 6-7
Oh
months.
my God.
I mean, I seen Blazing Saddles 6 times in one night.
Oh my God.
And we all did. We had a
Right,
blast.
right.
I mean, you know, because it was fun. We were
'Cause
young.
you're-
I think I was
yeah.
15 years old at that time.
Well, we have to stop because we have to go get kids. But I could talk to you forever.
Well,
And you have to be really proud of yourself. Are you?
yes. Yeah.
Sam, are
Well,
you proud?
I'm just glad that I got my family, and they've been.
Well, you're lucky that you do have your family.
Yeah.
You're lucky because there are a lot of kids that can't recover from that. Because that speaks to the resilience and the love that your children have for you, because it sounds like it wasn't super fun for them when you were having all this fun.
No.
So for them to be able to say, that was then, this is now, is pretty impressive.
I thought it was fun for them because of the shit that I used to do. Like I said, I'd take them riding or
Yeah.
whatever, and all the material stuff that we'd do.
Right.
I thought was fun.
Right.
When basically that was just dragging them along with me.
Yeah.
I was the one who was
yeah.
having fun. That
Yeah.
was just dragging them along with me.
Yeah.
You know, when we would go out snake hunting, yeah, it was fun because the kids would get to watch us go out and catch snakes, and we'd go and crawl in the mountains with the 4-wheel drive for nights on end or whatever, just have fun.
Yeah.
We
So
did
I
have
thought.
fun in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I mean, you know, we'd go dirt bike riding or whatever. All the kids knew how to ride. We'd go out shooting. All the kids learned how to shoot. You know, I mean, just we'd go to the river, go boating, whatever.
Yeah, all that
You know?
sounds really fun. It's not, I don't ever think that Sam grew up in a completely funless vacuum. It was just that the pockets of
There was more
anger
pain than there was fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was more
But-
pain than there was fun. I thought it was fun because, you know, I'm out building Harleys.
Yeah.
I'm building cars. I'm fixing people's
Right,
stuff.
right,
you know, that kind of shit in there, and the kids can run amok around the yard and do
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
that kind of stuff. But reality is, there was more pain than there was fun.
Right.
So
I think that, just to close it up, because Leanne asked me if I was proud of you, I'm sure that I can speak for Lance, Brittany, and Shane, and to say that we are all incredibly proud of you. I mean, our kids are Lance and Shane and Brittany had a very different upbringing, but our kids get to experience a completely different person, which I think is phenomenal, because all of our kids love you. I mean, maybe Brittany's kids cry when you hold them, but
all of our kids love you. My kids love you.
all of our kids.
Everybody loves you.
He is the grandpa to everybody he comes in contact,
and he's
the dad to every person in our lives.
And
we're
that
all
is
incredibly proud.
Huge testament to who you really are.
It's true.
Who you really are. My
Thank you.
kids love you. Maybe it's because you buy In-N-Out too. I mean, just saying. May have something to do with the In-N-Out burger, and you have a cool bike, and you wear a cool vest,
You're not like
and you got a cool
the other
beard,
grandfathers.
and you don't look like anybody else.
because I'm that grandpa that they could come to and tell what they don't want to tell their parents,
And they know that on site.
And I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
They do.
I don't condemn any of them.
No.
Because I don't judge anybody.
Right. No.
I don't, what you've done or what you do, that's your business.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if I think it's stupid or you're heading in the wrong direction.
Right.
But I don't judge.
Right.
Because I don't want anybody to judge me.
Well, I think kids know that.
And that's the thing.
Well, thanks for talking to me about all this.
Well, thanks for having me.
I feel like I only got half of what I wanted to ask you, but that's okay. We can do it again another time.
Anytime.
But thank you so much.
And if you, like I said, you ever want to do a thing on addiction,
Thanks.
Okay.
from an addicted person, from an addict.
Yeah. We talked about it quite a bit today. But
Today
maybe with somebody else. But thank you, Sam, because this is brave of you to put this out in the world too. I mean, your childhood was pretty vulnerable and pretty hard. And sometimes that's hard to share with people. And I think a lot of people have had probably similar experiences with having a parent that's an addict. And so thank you for being brave enough to do this with your dad too.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
I know I don't feel like I got to talk to you enough. I feel like you and I should have
We
another
can have a follow-up.
follow-up of this one.
Yes.
Right. Maybe
Yeah.
we should.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for having me.
Bye.
Bye.